Salute, salute. The streets are buzzing. Day 2. NBA free agency, the crazy one. We're live, streets are buzzing. And we've got EJ coming through in a minute. We're going to chop this thing up with the best chat in the biz. New York Knicks made a move. Obi Toppin traded to the Indiana Pacers for a bag of Skittles, 2 second-round picks. A bad move, a move that was coming, and a band-aid ripped off. And so much to talk about. Damian Lillard requests a trade finally, right? Teams trying to get in on that. The Blazers GM put out a statement about them wanting to trade him for a star-level package, for the best available package, right? Things are heating up tonight. Ready to chop this thing up. Let's go. Salute. Salute chat. How we feeling? After this, give us your thoughts on the Obi Toppin transaction. The transaction was 2 second-round picks, right? We know the New York Knicks surveyed the league at the deadline last year. Tried to get a first-round pick, William Wesley, very high on Obi, put that first-round pick price tag. The Knicks were unable to find a suitable trade partner, right? And it's come to this. 2 second-round draft picks now in the future. We don't yet know. But for their plans this offseason, it was necessary. It was necessary to clear up some extra rotation minutes for the incoming or impending signing of Donte DiVincenzo, but to also clear up the cap space as well so that they can remain below the tax apron as well, and potentially add a couple of veteran minimum guys as well. But either way you slice it and dice it, in the words of Clyde, right, it's a sunken cost. And like I said, you can go back to last deadline and still, even if the Knicks had got a first-round pick, then that would have been ideal. But it was left too late, really. After Julius became an all-star, the New York Knicks should have tried to get that trade happening for Obi ASAP. Either way you feel about it, I want to say thank you to Obi firstly for his professionalism. Hometown kid, cried on draft night, gave the New York Knicks everything he had, right? It was that boiling point towards the end in the playoffs when, Obi badly wanted to play. He was miscast, misused, has his shortcomings, but definitely will thrive in the Indiana system, and we're looking for a different fit. It's clear we're absolutely now doubled down on Julius Randle, Tom Thibodeau, the style we play. Let's see what happens tonight. Donte DiVincenzo, do we get this signing done? And we can move on and see what else is in the pike. But 2 second-round picks to add. The New York Knicks also will create a $6.8 million trade exception, as you see Bobby Marks on screen as well. That's going to be useful. Second-round picks, I don't really see us making too many picks, so they're probably going to be packaged in a big deal. But let's see. Let's chop up the latest with the Damian Lillard saga. James Harden needs to be traded as well. But yeah, it's basically a salary dump now for Obi Toppin. He's going to do well in Indiana. Tyrese Halliburton looks really happy. New York Knicks fan base feeling very, very underwhelmed, frustrated as well. Basically like a Kevin Knox, Cam Reddish situation. Obi's a much better player than that. But also here, it was everyone responsible because he was misused. He was rendered a perimeter guy, shooting threes, leaking out. But yet, anytime he started, he put up numbers as well. So he's got a home in the league. It was question marks over the selection from the beginning. He was an older rookie. He's 25 already. But the New York Knicks move ahead now. They have Jacob Toppin, his brother, on a two-way deal. Looks like we're going to try to see, if we could use him maybe in the future as well. He seems to be more of a two-way guy. There's Jacob Toppin. But the salary is really needed, I guess, again, to stay below the tax. We got the full mid-level now. what did the New York Knicks do? We got Isaiah Roby on the depth chart. I would expect Josh Hart and RJ Barrett to play some four. I don't know if Tom Thibodeau is going to be a big fan of that, but in terms of moving ahead now without Obi, maybe we sign another backup power forward with some of this cap space that we have created. So we are, around about $6 million below, $5 to $6 million below the tax. So we could use the full mid-level and maybe add a couple of other guys on smaller salaries as well. But salute to the chat. Daniel, Darren, Richard, Billy, salute. Dirty, Gerard, what's good? Jason, Jay from Puerto Rico, Geraldine, you know what it is. Darren, AP. So yeah, we'll continue chopping this up as EJ will come in soon. We'll get his thoughts on this situation. But finally, the pennies dropped with as Woj was reporting now, Ty Jerome has agreed to a 2-year, $5 million deal with the Cleveland Cavaliers. So that's a good pickup for the Cleveland Cavaliers. Ty Jerome, New York, from the area. And that's a good pickup. They're adding some depth. But yeah, Leon's first round draft pick, first overall, very first pick as president, goes down as a black mark, as a failure as well. So we did the necessary. We weren't going to get any more than 2 second-round picks. Otherwise, we would have done that deal. But the fact that Leon Rose's son also manages Obi, we also wanted to make sure we got Obi in a situation where he could play, he could improve his value, and maybe get a better contract. So that was important for the New York Knicks' aim as well. Yeah, we definitely got another deal coming. Jay says, would dumping Fournier provide more cap flexibility? Why dump Obi? Obi's the easier salary because it's $6 million. Fournier's salary is still needed because it's $18 million and it's coming off the books next year. It can be used as a weapon in a trade, in terms of a larger expiring deal as well, fam. But like I said, it's also CAA wanting to look after Obi. It's not just us wanting to get some value for Obi as well. We wanted to make sure we sent Obi somewhere because we didn't want to bring him into another year of all this contention, all this, storyline brewing about Obi not getting playing time behind Julius Randle. So it kind of frees up a bit of everything. It frees up Obi. It frees up the Knicks to go in the direction that the Knicks want to go in. Whether you agree or you don't, we have Tom Thibodeau and we're doubling down on a Tom Thibodeau philosophy. Now, Dirty saying, one thing I'm glad is for that we should be no longer paralyzed, but by being so close to the luxury tax line. That's the big story in this. We were stuck in a very narrow window. Yep. And players had some bonuses as well. So I think they were worried although maybe very unachievable, if those bonuses were hit, then it would have been all for nothing. Gerard says Coach Combe over devaluing another player. Yep. Miami trying to get in on the Damian Lillard sweepstakes. Tyler Hero talks that they're trying to route him to another location. Yeah, Fournier, Kemba, Noel, Derrick Rose's second contract was a failure as well. So we're trying to clean up some mess. It's been a mixed bag with Leon Rose's front office. Done some really good things, as we talked about last night. Mitchell Robinson's contract. Looks like RJ Barrett, Julius Randle, and Brunson's contract around the league looks great. And tonight was another night of some crazy contracts being handed out. The Fred VanVleet one, the Jeremy Grant one was crazy. Today, the extension for LaMelo Ball, $260 million max for a guy who's not been able to stay healthy, is another crazy deal. Vaughn going to miss Obi, going to miss his positivity. He's just a great guy, great locker room guy, but it's a business. We move on now. It was a sunken cost a year or two ago. It just today, it just culminated into now finally needing to shed that salary. But 2 second-round picks, I'm always going to question that. Always going to question, could we have got 3? Could we have got 4 second-round picks? Could we have got a protected first somewhere along the line? But I think maybe, again, a little bit of we wanted to send Obi to a place where he could play, not a contender where he's going to be on the bench, not a struggling team with other draft picks that they need to play ahead of Obi. I think Obi's going to get heaps of playing time. AP says, don't root for players that are on other teams, but I will root for Obi. Salute. Yep. That's loyalty out there. Yep. Jose, don't agree on the trade. 100%. Yep. You didn't utilize Obi enough. Not enough pick and roll early on. And like I said, the best time to trade Obi would have been as soon as Julius became an all-star, as soon as he became all-NBA. I think there would have been enough intrigue around the league to get a first-round draft pick, I think, back in the day. But yeah, in terms of what's likely now, so Donte DiVincenzo, we're still hearing reports that it's going to happen. He's probably meeting with other teams still, seeing if he can get a lot more money. I think if the money is quite similar, he's definitely going to come to New York. So we got the Nova York gang. We await for that update. But if that's the case, we're probably going to sign another backup power forward just as insurance. We've got Jericho Sims, Isaiah Roby. I would expect RJ Barrett and Josh Hart to play some small ball. In terms of the money, it's drying up, fam. Dirty says DiVincenzo's running out of some places now. San Antonio, Houston's used up the bag. Although, no, Brook Lopez returning to Milwaukee. But we had Dylan Brooks signing with the Houston Rockets as well. Billy, the LaMelo contract's crazy. I mean, rookie extension, he's their star to market around, but he's always going to get that big bag. But from an organization standpoint, I don't know if he's ever going to be able to repay that unless he stays healthy. But yeah, the Fred VanVleet one was crazy. Jeremy Grant. Also, yeah, Portland's in shambles right now. What are they doing? They should have waited one day to do this Jeremy Grant business. It would have freed them up so much to do a sign and trade. Get Jeremy Grant there, strip it down, play Shadon Sharp, Anthony Simons, and Scoot Henderson. A lot of minutes. Build around them. So we'll look at the numbers, but the Knicks will have a little bit of money to spend now, just a little bit. They don't want to they don't want to risk getting too close to the tax, which is the main reason they did this Obi thing right now. But yeah, obviously the Fournier deal, I think San Antonio can still absorb him. But again, we're saving that deal for a bigger transaction right now. OG Anunoby, Zach LaVine, the Clippers with James Harden still has to go down. Jay Crowder back in Milwaukee, which is crazy. He was arguing about that situation, right? But no Budenholzer. We have Woj confirming now Dylan Brooks, a 4-year, $80 million deal to be a Houston Rocket. So the Houston Rockets have spent a lot of money now. Fred VanVleet. They didn't get Brook Lopez, but they got Dylan Brooks. Also, the LA Lakers, for me, have been the big winner with that situation. The Rockets have also finalized the deal to get Patty Mills up in here. As we got our guy EJ in the building, let me just bring him in, and I will get his thoughts on this crazy day too. And man, has it been absolutely crazy. Salute, brother.
Hey, what's up? What's up, my boy CT?
How are we
What's going
feeling?
on? Can you hear me? Am I coming in all right?
Yep.
All
You're
right.
coming in
Hey,
loud and clear.
what's up, Knicks
Yeah,
Buzz fans? How you guys doing? What's going on? So,
yeah, man. It's
did I miss
the
anything?
penny, the penny dropped with Obi, Dame, the
Yeah.
Portland Trailblazers. They've come out and said we're going to trade Dame for the best package.
Yeah, that's big. That's
So
huge. This is the antithesis of last summer, last offseason, where the league was being held hostage by the KD trade request, the outlandish I'm not being facetious or hyperbolic when I say this, but the trades that Utah and Danny Ainge were able to engineer, the Donovan Mitchell trade plus the Rudy Gobert trade, they really made it more difficult for other teams to really calibrate and to figure out what are we going to do in terms of getting that next piece and that soap opera, that drama that we love about the NBA offseason. It made it more difficult. And let me not forget, I'm not just going to give the blame to Danny Ainge. Let's also talk about the DeJounte Murray trade to Atlanta last offseason. Those three trades really created a wonky system, a wonky value for trades and picks, and first rounders were being thrown left and right. And this offseason is the total antithesis of it. I was shocked to see that Obi was traded for two second round draft picks. That's shocking. What are your thoughts, CT man?
yeah, it's shocking just when it's official, but it's kind of
Yeah,
like we felt it coming. I
yeah,
felt it coming. I mean, I would have been actually more surprised if we all of a sudden we seen Obi for a first round pick. I'd have been like, okay, well, we've kind of salvaged the best we could out of that, but two second rounders. Um, but we created a $6.8 million trade exception
mhm.
from that as well. We did this move also, EJ, because the necessary cap room to make the mid level signing now and still be below the tax. So that's
Which,
important.
which really, I mean, one of the things that we probably don't do enough of, many of us as Knicks content creators, there are a few people. CT, you do this periodically. I know I'm guilty of this. Uh, One of the biggest moves that go 3 years ago was the signing of Brock Aller. His ability to negotiate and understand copology. He's operating on a whole other level and with insight that many of us, in terms of being fans, um, we just don't get because it's so in the weeds, it's so in the minutia. But being able to be fiscally solvent and fiscally responsible in terms of many of the deals, not all, but many of the deals, because remember we have the Evan Fournier contract. We had some other contracts that were just not feasible. Kemba Walker for a while, but for many of the deals that were made, there was a real intelligence behind the money and the dollar signs behind it. But nevertheless, it's going to be hard to see Obi in another uniform. He's going to join a long cavalcade of former Knicks players that, when you're checking out other teams around the league, you have a soft spot in your heart for them and you hope that they do well. And Obi will definitely be one of those players for me that every time Indiana's playing another team, I'm going to be hoping that Obi shines and does great, not to show up the Knicks front office, but just because he just seemed to be a really good guy, a really great soldier, and really the fact that we had inklings that there was backstage discontent, but Obi was the consummate professional for the majority of his time here. So he's the kind of guy you want to just do well. But it's really sad that just two draft picks. But again, the market value has restabilized, and what you could get last year versus what you can get this year, two totally different markets.
Yeah, yeah, you said it. I guess looking back, man, in hindsight, my some of my final thoughts on it is I always go back to when the selection was made, and
Mhm.
you can pick a guard and they can kind of fit around certain positions. You pick a power forward like Obi who can't really play center, was kind of too big to be a three,
Yeah,
not quick enough with his feet. I guess like let's say Obi could have played another position, we might have been able to fit him around Randall more. So
yeah,
that's the risk you take when you pick you draft a player that's like very set in one position, and
yeah,
you already knew you had Julius Randle, whether he was playing bad at the time or not. He was taking up a large amount of the salary. So did Leon Rose fall into that CAA kind of godson kind of family trap at the time where he just fell in love with Obi so much that
That's yeah. Yeah, no, go ahead. I'm sorry.
yeah, that they just didn't kind of consider all other things as much. Yes, he was College Player of the Year and fell to the 8th spot, which in terms of a talent grab, it was sensational. But you had to look at other things at that time. What are your thoughts?
I think that last thing you said right there, that's the if there's an indictment, if there's going to be an autopsy done on Leon Rose's administration, Obi's drafting will be one of those things where you start thinking to yourself, that wasn't that was a mistake.
Yeah,
Not and I'm going to say this I'm going to try to say this very carefully, not to. It was a mistake considering what they already had. And I think the front office has gotten better at understanding how to build around certain pieces that they prioritize. That was a pick in hindsight that it their objectives clearly were at a crossroads at that point. They didn't quite know what they had in Julius Randle. Julius Randle clearly had the kind of season that made them change course. But choosing to draft Obi placed them in an unwinnable situation from the very onset of that pick. You had a high draft pick. You had a player of the league. I mean, sorry, player of the year in Obi. It was an 8th pick. It was an 8th pick on the heels of several, and this is the big point, and this is why I'm always big on history and context.
yeah,
It was an 8th pick on the heels of several high draft picks that didn't seem to peter out or didn't seem to flourish into much, whether it be Franklin Aquina, whether it be Kevin Knox. That pick had to be something that you could get several years of a return on. And so you're right. I think that there were a number of different variables that set up Obi to fail. The fact that Obi is that kind of player that we get mesmerized by the potential. We get mesmerized by the highlight reel dunks. I mean, anyone on the chat who says that they're not in some way, shape, or form, or had been in some way, shape, or form, been mesmerized by those highlight reel dunks, that juices the garden. That adds. I mean, there's a reason why, like in every promo, in every in-building video package, Obi was always present because of that electricity he was able to provide. It's just that it wasn't the right fit. And the other ingredient we have to talk about, and everyone's been talking about this, is Tom Thibodeau. Was Obi a pick that was chosen with Tom Thibodeau in mind? And it seemed like it was never something that Thibodeau really was fully on board. And if you know anything about Thibodeau, if he's not on board, he'll let you know.
yeah. 100%, man. And I think right after the Obi selection, if you notice the trend of the picks with Quickly, Grimes, Deuce, they started to become more Tom Thibodeau guys
Yeah,
after the Obi selection. Tom
yeah.
Thibodeau loved Grimes. He loved Deuce McBride, and then those selections were made. I think the Knicks were trying to get up and get Tyrese Maxey. They were trying to get up and get Trey Murphy as well. So yeah, maybe it was Leon's first pick and he overruled everyone. Maybe he was like, no, this is my first selection. I'm making Obi. Then after
Yeah.
that, it's sort of he started to listen to more people. But um, knowing what we know, what we got now, would you, if you had a choice to run Obi just back into the final year and to hell with it, or trade him for 2 seconds, which would you have preferred?
At this point, knowing what we know, we have a large enough sample size we have a large enough sample size for a number of the players that are involved in this scenario. We have enough of a large sample size for Julius. We have enough of a large sample size for Coach Thibodeau. We have enough of a sample size for Leon Rose. Um, in a perfect world where those 3 factors aren't involved, I would have run it back. Let's say, for example, this were Brooklyn or this were Charlotte. I would run it back. If it were a different head coach, if it were a different front office, I would run it back. The reason why Obi was almost in a no-win situation here, his camp was in a no-win situation, is would Coach Thibodeau change his roster? Would he change his rotation minutes to increase Obi's value? I mean, one of the things that we saw throughout the course of the last 2 years, and this was almost sad to see in some respects, is Obi almost always playing with a level of fear that any small mistake would send him to the bench. And I mean, we all have professions here. We all have jobs. We all have careers. There has to be a little bit of there has to be a little bit of a leash to allow people to make mistakes so that they can grow. And it always felt as if Obi, if he were going to make a mistake, which you have to make mistakes to grow, he was going to be penalized. His confidence would shrink. We just reached the point, unfortunately, with the factors in place. Leon Rose being the head administrator, Coach Thibodeau being who he is, and the rotations being what they are, and Obi the kind of player he is. I couldn't foresee Coach Thibodeau giving him the runway, except in the case of an injury, for us to get more later on in the season to come.
Yeah, I agree with everything you just said. And in terms of just Obi aside, the trend of Knicks and draft picks developing them, it seems like they've either got to be a top 3, top 4 pick like RJ or KP to fully play them and fully develop them. What do you think outside of that? The Knicks have struggled to really, um, find heavy minutes. He was eighth. Kevin Knox was basically replaced after his
Yeah.
rookie year. Like, it seems like the Knicks either, they're always trying to win now, which we know they've chosen that direction now. But, Quentin Grimes and IQ are easier to play because they're role guys. But I'm talking about like top 10 picks. We've kind of struggled developing any of them outside of, RJ Barrett could be shipped out next. So, um,
Yeah, that's perceived. That's feasible.
yeah,
Yeah, I think
KP was the other one.
K, KP is another great part of it. Is in the Leon Rose administration? Part of the issue is um, you have to pick you have to pick a gear and commit to it. Was Obi a pick made with the mindset or with the rationale this is going to be a rebuilding team? And so we have the time, we have the latitude to develop this player. Just give us time. But then to have the kind of season that they did in 2020, 2021, where they're a fourth seed, now all of a sudden maybe the priorities, maybe the philosophy changed, and we know that it changed because we have to look at the offseason moves. And so this is really in Obi's storyline here, or Obi's arc in New York City, is really reflective of what happens when the front office and administration has a herky-jerky, inconsistent philosophy. Are we win now or are we developing? And I think several times you could see the front office, and they didn't say this, but you can see that in their moves, were unclear as to what they were going to be. And so as a result, they had a chance to really make a decisive pick in that with that eighth pick, but eventually their priorities shifted and it left Obi out in the wind. And unfortunately, today marks the end. Next Thursday officially will mark the end of Obi's career here in New York City.
Yeah, and we have other teams now, EJ, where cap space is drying up. So we are
Mhm.
waiting on the Donte DiVincenzo signing, or what I feel is still imminent. What are your feelings towards that now, given that he's most likely to come in and take that rotation spot from Obi? The mechanics of him playing maybe some small ball with Josh Hart. Um, I hope this Donte DiVincenzo thing goes through. You would think they know it's going to go through. Otherwise, it'll be no need for this Obi move.
If when you're a leader, you're not just in the business of whatever career or business or industry you're in, you're also in the business of public relations. Uh, if the Knicks at this point after the Obi move don't acquire Donte DiVincenzo, it'll be a public relations nightmare in terms of the Leon Rose and his administration, because in part you traded a player who, for some fans, are considered divisive, but for a lot of fans really liked Obi. They may not necessarily have loved the totality of his game, but he's the kind of player who, for the most part, it's hard to say a bad word about Obi. His personality, his demeanor. Was he a great player? No. Was he a perfect player? Far from it. But if you get rid of one player, I would hope that you already have your ducks in a row and you clearly have an inside track Donte DiVincenzo. And hopefully, Donte DiVincenzo seems to be a Tibbs kind of guy. He could provide more of what's necessary to make a further playoff push. But at the same time, it really would be a public relations disaster to make a move and then to be caught out there and he signed somewhere else. That would be really embarrassing.
Yeah, definitely. I think you hit it with Tibbs guy. That he's going to bring some shooting and playmaking as well. 6'4"
Yeah,
though. That's the clear weakness. But
yeah,
I guess it's not like Obi was a defensive guy anyway.
no,
Um, he's still a good rebounder, so we're not going to really lose anything rebounding. He might even be a better rebounder than Obi. Um, but yeah, we wait to see that. That's most likely going to happen, I would say, tonight. There's only so many teams he can meet with. There's not any cap space really
yeah,
heading around. But we'll get to this quick super chat. Parish Duggar, appreciate you and the chat as well. Everyone buzzing on day 2. EJ Parish says the Knicks chose Randall and Tibbs. Randall, who you got to pay after next year, 180 milli, and Tibbs, who is 2 years and out of here because of age and failure. Bad. So yeah, the Knicks definitely doubled down on
yeah,
Randall and Tibbs now. And I also
yeah,
think they looked at what they needed in the playoffs, maybe just that little bit more versatility.
yeah. And also too, like, I'm going to go back here. And please, guys, I'm not defending Julius Randle. I'm just trying to be as objective as possible. Julius's performance in the playoffs this past season, we have to remember, and we talked about this during the playoffs, he was injured, and we didn't know the extent to which he was injured. Um, is that why he performed so in such contrast to his regular season performance? If you don't remember, he had off-season ankle surgery. If you've been a fan of sports a long time, if you've played basketball, if you played any sports, you know that if you get the wrong roll of an ankle, if you sprain an ankle, those things can be torturous. And that's with your local rec league. That's with your high school basketball team, your varsity team, your JV basketball team, your NBA 2K team. Rolling an ankle is just difficult. So I think that to Parish's question or to his Parish's super chat, this is a make or break season. This is really a make or break season. And also in pure objectivity, was there a move that the Knicks could make right now that one made sense, two wouldn't plunge them into cap hell? Back in the days of Scott Layden, for example, where we had Howard Isley and Shandon Anderson. My gosh. And three would catapult us into championship contender status immediately, like superseding and going above and beyond the Boston Celtics, and whatever Philadelphia will be within the next 2 or 3 weeks. The Milwaukee's. I mean, Milwaukee has really begun to say, okay, we're going to make another push at this for the next year or two. So, am I happy? No, but we also have to be realistic and understand that the Knicks timeline might be different than other teams at the top of the conference. So maybe that's the hard conversation they're having inside of T-Pen Plaza.
Yeah, it's a necessary, but it's hard to feel happy about
Yeah,
what's happened. It's just another draft pick in the can,
yeah, that
basically.
hurts.
Yeah, I mean 2 second round picks. We'll see what they are. There's actually no word yet on whose picks they are and all of that. Indiana are going to be better. So if they are their second round picks, they may not be as good. But let's face it, we're probably going to package these picks for finally if and when this move happens, right?
Hmm.
Damian Lillard. Let me quickly check in with you. Do you want any parts to do
No,
with the Damian Lillard?
3 years too late.
Yep. Yep. I mean, if we didn't get Brunson, it'd be electric having him
Yeah,
in MSG, especially
yeah,
even with Randall. Maybe we even kept Obi. Uh,
yeah,
but yeah, the Knicks have still got work to do. We've got to find up maybe another center. Let's see if they have plans to play Jericho Sims more. This could be
Hmm.
another situation where they really like what Sims can provide. Isaiah Roby, I think he's got some promise as well, but yeah, we got to develop him. Um, let's see what else we do. But who's been some big winners for you and some losers that you've seen so far?
I guess I, I'm. I'll tell you the teams I'm intrigued by. Um, I'm intrigued by the Suns. In short, because and obviously their big move came very early in this process, the Bradley Beal one. In part because I think this is going to be really a revelation. It's going to be it's going to expose who Kevin Durant is. It's going to really expose what Bradley Beal is. Bradley Beal to me is one of those fascinating NBA players who's really, really good, but you just don't know how good he is because he's been mired on a really bad team. So that raises the question: how good is Bradley Beal really? He's been frequently unhealthy. So for me, the Phoenix situation is going to be fascinating because that's the kind of situation that is ripe for implosion. An unhappy KD, and in particular, an unhappy Devin Booker, because consider what Phoenix was 2 seasons ago versus what they are right now. I mean, Phoenix's bench is really, I mean, at this point, the reason why I was late, everyone, is because they actually gave me a call and they wanted me to be the 12th man on the bench. That's how short they are in terms of having roster depth. So I think I was waiting for someone to get that one. I think the Phoenix storyline will be really fascinating. I don't know if they're a winner. I don't know if they're a loser, but they're definitely gonna be fascinating. Um, Another team that's really gonna be really interesting to watch is Toronto. Toronto. Maybe I just like the teams that are just gonna that are poised for drama.
Yeah,
Um, Toronto is in a very fascinating position right now. They just lost Fred VanVleet. They re-signed Jakob Poeltl, I believe. But who are they going to turn to orchestrate and run their team? So they're now in
yeah,
this weird position where it's like, what do you plan on being in 2022, 2023? So those are just two of the teams that I'm really interested in. Obviously, Golden State is another team that Chris Paul move. I think the league is going to be paying a lot of attention to that because it seems to make no sense, but it's Golden State, so we're going to see what's going to be, what it's going to be. Um, but yeah, I think that there has been a
yeah,
lot of the drama of this off season is really really amazing.
yeah. I don't think the biggest is hit yet. Um,
No,
we've seen so many little moves that we could chop up still all night. Derek Rose finding his
yeah.
way back to Memphis to be a mentor for Ja Morant. He got multi-year guarantee. Uh, I
Did you
see
see
all these
Will
funny
Will's comment?
memes. There's a meme saying Guns and Roses. Um,
Welcome to the jungle.
but yeah, that's
Oh
crazy.
man,
I like what Cleveland had done, given they needed a couple
yeah, that's good.
wings and
Yeah,
they didn't have a lot of like flexibility. Houston's fascinating by spending all this money. Um, that doesn't necessarily mean it's going to work. I mean, they got
yeah.
Patty Mills now, Dylan Brooks, Jock Landale, Fred Van Vliet. Um, they're probably going to be in the lottery still. But Indiana definitely did well on draft night. Now they got
Yeah.
Obi. Um, let's see. I know the Knicks didn't really want to take any salary back. We probably could have coerced Buddy trying to get Buddy Hield out of that deal if we weren't going to get DiVincenzo. Um, but are we addressing our main need, EJ, based on the playoffs? DiVincenzo, let's say he comes in and gives us a bit of shooting. Do you foresee any more player acquisitions, any more moves to come, possibly?
I think the one that we need to keep an eye out on. We have to keep an eye out on what happens with Dame, and we have to keep an eye out what happens with James Harden.
Yeah. And
The
Levine,
reason why,
possibly.
and Levine, yeah, those are we talked about. One of the reasons why I love being on Nick's Buzz and chopping up with CT is because we've had a lot of these conversations even during the course of this past season where we talked about, guys, we have to pay attention to what's going to happen with certain teams. We have to pay attention to what's going to happen with certain teams because whatever happens with them will have some sort of impact on our squad. So one of the ones that you and we keyed in on was Philadelphia. And I'm not in any way, shape, or form a proponent of the Knicks
Yeah.
trying to acquire James Harden. I have no interest whatsoever. But a James Harden trade would likely be a 3-team, possibly a 4-team deal. And so, do the Knicks get involved? Because remember, a lot of this is going to be cap space. They're going to be cap space ramifications as well too. And so, do the Knicks get involved in one of these mega big deals to get a piece that we're not thinking about because of the cap dollars? Because people want sign and trades, they want extensions to contracts, like in the case of a James Harden. And I think that's the thing that we need to pay attention to. So, is it possible that the front office is biding its time to be involved in a deal that gets them another part from, let's say, a James Harden trade or a Dame Lillard trade? I think that's the thing that we have to think about. Not getting Dame, not getting Harden, but getting a piece from a larger trade. I think that's probably conceivable.
Yeah. Another way to look at this offseason, man, and is other teams in the East getting worse?
Hmm.
Philly. I really
Hmm.
do think they end up moving Harden to see what they can get. There's probably this 3-team thing brewing between the Sixers, Portland, and the Clippers. I feel Clippers we know have to do something. I feel
Yeah.
like they're not sold on the Paul George, Kawhi pairing. Too much injury concerns as well. Maybe they are happy having a 1-year rental with James Harden, and at least that money comes off the books as
Yeah.
well, and they don't have to pay Paul George that extension. Um, that's fascinating. But I will be shocked if Portland trade Dame to just anywhere.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like I know talk is cheap, but they talk that loyalty, and Dame's done so much for that franchise. Well, now he's turned his back finally, but he waited too late. He waited till they drafted Scoot, and then they signed Jeremy Grant. So um, I think he probably ends up in Miami. I think there's talk that Tyler Hero, they're trying to find a third team
That's what I
to
was
take
saying,
on
man.
Tyler Hero, like you said. Um, but yeah, ultimately, I don't think Zach LaVine finds his way on the Knicks. I don't think James Harden finds his way on the Knicks. So do we? Is it Paul George, or is it nothing at this stage? We just go into training camp as currently constructed with maybe some uh, um, miniature moves around the edges.
Yeah, this brings us back to where we were a couple of weeks ago, right? Where we were having this conversation about what things were practical, what things were plausible. Um, I think the Heat, Dame being linked to the Heat, Dame being linked to the Heat, um, is going to be really, really important because it's gonna put us in a position where um, what do the Heat have to offer if Portland decides it's going to be really aggressive and say, we love Dame, but we want more back? So it's at that point where it has to add additional pieces, and it's probably going to be a larger framework of the deal. And that's where you do get a New York involved. I can foresee, like, guys, in the next couple of years, that the Knicks are able to like just tinker around the edges, but to also then be players for like and just decide we're going to wait until we get the exact player that we want. At this point, Leon Rose has decided and proven I am not going to give up more than what I want to give up for that big fish. If there are opportunities that present themselves, we'll poke around, we'll see what we can get from it. But
Yeah,
maybe it is Donovan Mitchell in a couple of years. Maybe it is, that they're really going to hold on to the player that they want, a not scraps. I really quick now, and I'll be done. Um, it kind of feels like the LA Clippers are moving with a little bit more desperation than the Knicks are.
Yep.
I think Leon Rose doesn't feel that sense of desperation, and so if he doesn't
Yeah.
get that player he wants, he's not going to move.
Yeah. Another thing we got to look at, guys, let's say we run it into the season, our contracts are going to become even more desirable or easier to trade. $25 million from RJ. I mean, Bruce Brown is earning that money now. Um, Jeremy Grant's earning double that. Like, if RJ Barrett comes out and plays well this season, that contract is going to become very desirable. Uh, we already know Mitchell Robinson's contract is going to become very desirable in this league. In 3 years from now, he'll be earning 12 mil. That's that's crazy. That's mid-level money 3 years from now. If Julius Randle continues to play well and they want to move him in the future, I think that can be done. Um, the issue is that fans are just seem to be waiting. It's like what is the move now? Like who is their target? Is Joel Embiid seriously going to become, you know, gettable? Is Joel Embiid going to be gettable? What's he thinking right now? You're about to ship James Harden out. Tyrese Maxey, our young player, might be out. Um, he's got to be seriously questioning. They just got a new coach. Um,
Yeah,
he could be that target that could be more gettable. Donovan Mitchell, I think, is more than likely.
yeah. I think that's why you're right. Um, we can't be seduced by the drama.
Hmm.
We can't be. Like, I mean, that's the issue. The issue is that right
Yeah,
now, for many of us, some of the memes were clear on Twitter, of Leon Rose sleeping, and free agency started, and Knicks fans were disappointed because we didn't see headlines, we didn't see moves, we didn't see chatter. And part of that is that because we like being part of the national discourse, but at the same time, that's not good business. That's good entertainment, but
yeah,
it's not a good basketball business. And so I think that if James Dolan is having the same level of patience that he's shown with several of the Rangers, the New York Rangers administrations, not all of them. I mean, like, for example, what he did with John Davidson. But if he's showing a measure of patience with Leon Rose and saying you have the latitude, you have time latitude to build a team that's consistent and a winner. Leon Rose seems to be heading in the direction of I'm going to wait. I'm going to wait to slap down that draw four. For those of you guys who play Uno. Um, and maybe it is Joel Embiid. Maybe it's back to back Joel Embiid and Donovan Mitchell. And it's like we can't be seduced by being like, clickbait for this offseason. Maybe it's really about waiting for Philadelphia to implode during the 2023, 2024 season, and Donovan Mitchell around that same time. So again, these contracts were constructed, I think, with a goal in mind, but I'm just hoping it's consistent.
yeah, 100%. And just looking ahead, fam, chat, EJ, about the Knicks draft capital. What tells me is that the New York Knicks are going to make a move this season, whether it's off season now, deadline, and one of the key reasons is we'll have 2 first-round draft picks in next year's draft. Potentially, assuming I'll get your thoughts on Kyrie re-upping in Dallas with Luca. I mean, would you be shocked if they end up in the bottom 10 again? Or do you think that pick has to convey this season?
Uh, you know, with Kyrie, and I know he has such a strong base of fans, and it's hard sometimes for them to hear this. You never know with Kyrie, you know.
Yeah.
And so you just like I was actually thinking about this too. Like I think there were rumors that Dallas wanted to try to get a crack at getting DeAndre Ayton. Um,
Yeah.
Dallas is one of those teams that honestly you could see underperforming again, and so will the picks
Mm.
convey? It's quite possible because with Kyrie you don't know. Like much of what Ramona Shelburne and Shams and Woj were reporting at the very beginning of the free agency period was that there are very few teams interested in Kyrie. There are very few teams. And part of that is because, like, at this point, you know, I don't think teams can trust him. And so I think for Dallas, part of that move was saving face. You have to resign.
Yeah.
You have to resign Kyrie if you're Dallas. Um, but does it work? I don't know.
Yeah. It's funny how we kind of all had like, what did you make of like, oh, Kyrie has 6 meetings lined up, and then in 30 minutes he takes the
Yep.
bag from Dallas. um,
Kyrie has 6 meetings lined up, just like I have 6 dates lined up with Ashanti. Sorry,
uh,
Nelly. No offense.
now, a DiVincenzo, I believe he's been taking meetings because a guy with a special kind of price tag, a unique wing for the mid level, there's probably 6 to 10 teams in the league that have that mid level that would love a meeting with DiVincenzo. So that's the reason why I think this is still taking this long. If the DiVincenzo, if the money was very similar, he would have signed with the Knicks straight away, I feel. But he's still looking for that bag, still obviously. But I think he's going to probably come to the Knicks. Um, but yeah, like you said, this has been a crazy off season, right? The the money being doled out is something that's the first kind of trickle effect of this off season. And also the first big trade really has to go down. James Harden, Miami, Philly. That's going to shake everything up, 100%. Um, but yeah, we have some other signings that have come through. Josh Christopher has been traded, um, as well. Guys making room. Jalen McDaniels is still available. Naz Reid re-signed with Minnesota.
Yeah,
Um,
that was a big one.
yeah. What else has stood out to you so far?
Just the level of activity. I mean, there's not a single. I think the one thing that we saw was that there was a lot of re-signing. That was like, for as much as, for example, Knicks fans streamed about possibly re-signing or possibly signing rather Nas Reed. There were a number of people who just re-signed with their teams. Excuse me. For example, Brooke Lopez. That was a fascinating conversation where
Yeah.
people were imagining Brooke Lopez and what that would do to Milwaukee. Pretty sure Chris Middleton. There have been some resignings and signings. Same with them as well too. So I think the biggest point of interest at this point will be James Harden. I think for a side note, just a quick side note, this is me being the old guy in the room and person who loves history. It's just so fascinating to me that when James Harden actually makes his way to the Hall of Fame, what jersey is going to be his jersey? Same with KD. Like I just had a conversation with someone about this, and just how fascinating of a time we're in terms of basketball. Because whenever we think of Michael, we think the Bulls. Whenever we think of Kobe, we think the Lakers. Dirk, we think of Dallas. But yeah, it's really fascinating that after just a season and a half, James Harden will be making a way to yet another team. That to me that's a storyline unto itself. And so
Yeah.
yeah, I
Like,
don't know till we make it that.
yeah, 3 teams in 2.5 years, fam.
Yeah,
One could
yeah,
question, should he be in the Hall of Fame, being on so many different teams? Y-
yeah. That's a good question.
I
Um,
mean, the thing is, he keeps. I gotta say, if there is a team, it would be Houston, which is kind of what I thought he would go. He would choose. Maybe Houston turned the other cheek, and that's why he had to opt in to that final year in Philly, because all the writing was on the wall that he would just take and sign outright with Houston. But maybe they had other plans with Fred Van Vliet, who's younger. Um, that's plausible. Um,
it is possible.
but yeah, I think with Harden, I think it's the Clippers. I think that's the best situation for him now. Why not join two other older injury-prone dudes?
Ah! Oh man. Yeah, no, I think yeah, it's there's definitely a turning of the guard that's happening with the league right now. We are in the cusp of a new era of teams. You know, like in terms of this being Golden State's, I think probably last run at it. I think that the Draymond signing was again a very difficult decision for the front office. But we're starting to see it. Like, you know, it's easy to see that this is going to be LeBron and LeBron's last run. The Clippers. The you know, it's going to be fascinating to see what new teams emerge. And one of the things that we have seen is that there's a lot of parity in the league. You know, we've had five different champions in the past 5 years, and so um, in part because some of those players that have dominated the game for the past decade, they're shifting, but also they're getting older. I mean, I don't know if James Harden realizes this. Um, it's going to be hard for you know, James Harden to be the same player he was when he was in Houston. He's not going to cook the same way. So yeah,
Yeah,
it's good. It's a different world now.
I like this trade for the Clippers to get KJ Martin in a trade for 2 future seconds. we we
Wow.
basically could have flipped those 2 seconds and turned Obi into
Yeah.
KJ Martin. Um,
Wow.
that's crazy. Um,
Yeah.
sounds like we only want veterans right now. We're all in. Um,
Yeah.
we're going all in with veteran DiVincenzo, Nova, CAA, Kentucky. which which one is it? It's kind of one of those things where they sell those NBA jackets with
Yeah.
every
With
team's
all the
logo.
yeah, the old starter jackets with, like, you know, every, like, Boston right here, Charlotte right here, the Knicks on the back. Yeah.
I seen a dude's cap with Brooklyn and Knicks logo on it.
No. No. That's a person you just can't trust.
That's who's a casual,
Yeah.
right?
No, that's the person you can't trust.
Yeah, they
That's a
were given
person.
that for their birthday. They're a casual, and they don't have a team.
They're someone who they yeah, they're so uncommitted they don't even know how to spell NBA. I'll be here all week, guys. I'll be here all week.
Oh man. Um,
Yeah.
Now out of Paul George, like, are you still feeling like he's someone you would take a short term like risk on? Let's say if it did, you could get him for quickly, um, Fournier and picks. If you could get involved in one of these 3 team deals.
Yeah, I think that's the reasonable path to getting that player that satisfies a portion of the Knicks fan base. Um, because we are at that point now where some of these contracts, like, part of the reason why Obi was going to go, and we've been saying this, is because when it comes to signing these contract extensions, the front office doesn't want to do it because it puts you in a position where you don't have flexibility anymore. And so if Knicks fans really want a name player, a brand player, a player that is all NBA, it's gonna be from a 3 team deal. It's gonna be a PG. It doesn't look likely that it's gonna be a Zach LaVine. You know, we can have arguments as to which, and we've had arguments about which would be preferable, Zach LaVine or a Paul George. Listen, they're good players. The issue is, though, that the players who are available, you could make a clear and logical argument as to why they are not the optimal player for the Knicks. Each one of them. And I know sometimes fans don't want to hear that, but again, remember, like, if it involves trading an IQ, that's a big chip you're trading. And yes, I know it's Paul George, but also it's Paul George who played how many games last season? So yeah,
Yeah, yep. And there's been a lot of rookie extensions come through. Um, on the back of Dirty's comment also, I don't know if we've seen Ant Edwards, his extension yet. So I don't know what's happening with that. I thought that would have come already. But yeah, Philly, Boston, Jalen Brown hasn't been extended. They do need a point guard, really. Damian Lillard would be a good fit if they could get involved there. But the Heat, talk about winners, fam. I'll give you mine. I think the Lakers have definitely been a winner. Um, Indiana, Cleveland, the Phoenix Suns, of course. But
Yeah,
losers, so far, it's got to be the Heat. It's got to be
yeah.
Toronto.
Heat are big time
Toronto,
losers.
talk about salvaging that situation. A Dennis Schroeder signing as their point guard. They did nothing at the trade deadline. Masai Ujiri decided to stay pat. He's still asking for 3 first-round picks for OG Anunoby. Meanwhile, the league's passing him by.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. The Heat comment really is very true. I mean, I don't want to be a fool and count the Heat out because the Heat can lose a Gabe Vincent and you can think like, wow, you've lost so many
Yeah,
parts. And then, because of Miami weather, because of, the taxes, the lack of taxes, and because of the very reason why Stephen A. Smith will root for the Miami Heat to be in the finals as opposed to the New York Knicks. If you don't know, look it up. Why he loves Miami over the Knicks. They'll find a way to procure a Dame Lillard. So never count out the Heat. I've just learned that the hard way. So
yeah. And we had all sorts of things happen today. Twitter is broken. Twitter went down.
oh my gosh,
Man, Damian Lillard requesting a trade. It's just insane. As Chris Haynes is saying, he expects the Blazers to make Lillard happy and send
wow,
him to his preferred destination. But let's see. Brook Lopez
definitely.
returns on a 2-year, $48 million deal, and they obviously retained Chris Middleton also, so they're going all in too. Um, I don't really feel like the Knicks have lost ground though in the East. Obviously, we've probably made the Pacers stronger, fam, but yeah, I don't think that really anyone's kind of passed us in the
No,
East.
no.
Yeah, before you head out, just let us know like what are your thoughts now with the East shaping up?
Um, the East is going to be really fascinating. I think that we are smack dab in the middle of the East. There are no questions about that. Um, and that's a good place to be. It's a good place. I know that many of us we always want to tank and to try to get that high draft pick, but there's something to be said about a culture of winning. This is the longest stretch of competent Knicks play in over a decade. And again, just like we said last season, please remember we talked about this profusely and repeatedly and consistently. Brooklyn this time last year. Remember Brooklyn this time last year. The
Yeah.
new Brooklyn might be Philadelphia. And so if you don't have a lot of teams that have surpassed us, but you have a team that implodes like a Brooklyn, that is to our benefit. So that's my last point. Everyone, please make sure to smash that like, subscribe, follow Nick's Buzz. My boy CT, thank you so much for having me on, man.
Yeah, no, appreciate you. Yep, catch you soon, and we'll be ready. We're ready to talk about the next move. Peace.
Take care, guys.
EJ, ladies and gentlemen, streets are buzzing. Day 2, free agency. We're going to continue rocking along and reacting. There's some moves to come. Best believe that. We're still waiting. All right, Donte DiVincenzo. Got to let the Knicks know what's up, right? Or do they already know that's an agreement and they're not announcing it yet because they're waiting for a subsequent trade to go down? But something's getting quite fishy right now because we are getting late on a Saturday night. In terms of that, there's not a lot of cap space available. Donte DiVincenzo is still one of the biggest names now available. That KJ Martin trade was great. I would have liked to take a flyer on him for sure. But yeah, a lot of contracts being distributed right now. The LaMelo Ball one was crazy. Definitely Anthony Edwards deserves that extension. Um, but yeah, with the Obi Toppin thing, like obviously the thing came to a head with that leaked audio heading into now what his 4th season. He wasn't going to be happy, coming back behind Julius Randle playing 10 minutes a night. So the Knicks backed themselves into that corner now, had to make that trade, salvage some cap space and some assets. So we got 2 second-round picks. We wait to see which kind of picks they are, and then we create a $6.8 million exception, which probably will come in handy, at some point. And then we also add a little bit more flexibility to be below the $172 million tax apron as well. So what I take from that is that the Knicks obviously still going to spend that mid-level, whether it's DiVincenzo or they're going to split that money and spend it on a couple of guys, but they're going to stay below the tax apron. But they've also might have a couple of extra million. They might be able to use the other annual exception as well, which is $4 million, and still stay below the tax apron as well. Obi $6 million off the books completely helps that a lot, which is also one of the reasons why the trade wasn't very desirable. Because you're just basically giving up a player just for picks. But it also was to make sure we didn't take anyone back, and we have maximum space available. Yeah, but the two picks will never play for Tibbs, most likely. We already got a couple, second round pick Rocas, who's over in Europe. We've already got Deuce McBride, who's was picked up his option, 1.7 million, I think. Deuce McBride's going to be part of the rotation, or he's going to be situational, but he's going to be around. He's a Tibbs guy, two-way. Let's hope he improves with shot creation, ball handling, running the team. But I don't expect a lot from Deuce McBride. Really, he's a eighth, ninth, 10th man, on a good team. But I think the DiVincenzo thing, are reflective of also what Tibbs wants, which is guys who can get to the cup, guys who can drive, guys who can play make, can dribble, also take the pressure off of Jalen Brunson. One of the biggest problems I had in Miami series in Game 6 was that, Jalen Brunson was bringing the ball up the court, being picked up crazy by Gabe Vincent, no one else stepping in to pick up some ball handling as well. So we bring in another, hopefully we bring in DiVincenzo, who's another multi-dimensional kind of offensive guy, but also decent on the defensive side. Can rebound, can pass, and he's got some hops. I've seen some highlights. He was slamming it down. The big thing to note, he also averaged 26 minutes with the Golden State Warriors, so he is going to play. Best believe that he's going to play minutes. Also, I also wanted to talk about Jacob Toppin. Some people asking now, what does this mean? Jacob Toppin is more of a Tom Thibodeau kind of guy. So I think they gave Jacob Toppin a two-way spot because they really believe he's a player worth developing. He's 6'9" as well, or 6'8", I think 6'9". He's got hops like Obi. He's an excellent help defender. He can come on and pick up some help side blocks. The shot isn't great. Obi's probably a better shooter, but Jacob has a better touch around the bucket, better fundamentals also. So 23 years old, Jacob Toppin, on the two-way deal, still with CAA. Maybe that was a ploy for Leon Rose, kind of a gift to Knicks fans to say, hey, we're going to move Obi, but here's another Toppin who you're going to like. He's athletic. He could be a fan favorite also, but we don't expect him to get many minutes this year as well. The Knicks have chosen a direction, and they're going to try to win. So we know that. You could take that to the bank. So what's next? How are we going to continue to try to win? Let's see. We wait for the mid-level signing to see if it is DiVincenzo, but they're definitely going to spend it now that the fact that they've moved on from Obi, or they've created a little bit of extra cap space for possibly a trade. We could also send out Evan Fournier, 18 milli, together with this extra space we've created, together with the mid-level money, and we could definitely get a guy in here to see who might be available. I really do feel like the Chicago Bulls are still gauging what they can get for Zach LaVine or DeMar DeRozan. I think is going to be available. Right, I don't know if the Chicago Bulls can completely run it back with DeRozan. You know, they're notoriously a cheap organization. They don't want to be paying tax with that lineup as well. They've given Vucevic the money, um, but we know Lonzo Ball out for the season. They re-upped Colby White as well, and they also signed another dude as well. So I think Chicago ain't getting any better. They're not taking over us. I don't see Atlanta getting any closer to the Knicks. Toronto, depending what happens, obviously, but they've lost Fred VanVleet, so they've gotten worse. Um, Washington's gotten worse as well. So did the Knicks really slide down the East? I don't know if we slide down any spots. Even if we stayed the same, who's going to overtake the Knicks? Maybe the Heat have a better regular season, but given what's been happening, I don't know if they pull off the Dame trade, then yes. But I don't think the Heat's gotten any better as well. Cleveland maybe got slightly better, but a full season of Josh Hart and maybe DiVincenzo, and maybe the Knicks are a better regular season team than the Cleveland Cavaliers as well. So that's worth considering too. So if you had to ask me, where do the Knicks sit in the East? I think we're around the sixth, fifth, fourth range, maybe third even if Philadelphia slide. But we do come into the season with a move needing to be made. As I said to EJ, we look at the draft picks situation. I'm going to bring them up on screen as well, so we could see the Knicks draft capital. Basically, we have our own pick coming up, and we also have potentially the Dallas Mavericks pick as well. So that's a situation where we're not making all those picks. We already have a full roster, basically. So in the 2024 draft, we have our own pick. We have Dallas protected 1 to 10. We have Detroit's protected 1 to 18. So that's probably not going to convey next year. They'll be in the worst 18 teams. Washington, though, is protected 1 to 12. So, they've signed Kyle Kuzma, Jordan Poole, Tyus Jones. They're probably going to be in the worst 12 teams in the league, but quite possibly not. But that's going to move down the order as well. And then the Knicks have the Utah Cleveland second. We have the Detroit second. And we have Miami Heat second as well. So potentially 2 first-round picks, quite likely, and 3 second-round picks in next year's draft. So the time is now to make that trade if the Knicks are trading out some of these picks, because next year we're not making all of these picks. Best believe that. Right? We don't even have any roster spots available right now. But yeah, salute to the chat. Keep giving us the thoughts and buzz on your mind right now. Is a huge day so far as the New York Knicks have traded the 8th overall pick, Obi Toppin, for 2 second-round picks and cap space and a $6.8 million trade exception. Yeah, we got a super chat. Salute from Lewis Luck. Salute. How we feeling? Lewis says, no stars available, a lot of overpays to meh players right now. That's 100% true. I think there's no home run move right now. Unfortunately, I think it's not far away, but just right now, this offseason's kind of been a bit meh for everyone, for the league also. But I think in the coming days, that big trade is going to come. James Harden, Damian Lillard now we know is going to get traded. The Clippers are a big player in this thing because, I don't know how long they can continue to run along with Kawhi, with Paul George, right? There's already talk that, they've decided that they're not going to proceed with those two. But we talked about it with EJ. I think we're getting closer to possibly Joel Embiid asking out. I know we keep talking about a possibility, but I really do think we are getting closer to that, unless Philly get Dame. The other side is also we're getting closer to maybe Donovan Mitchell forced to make a decision with Cleveland. The other day, Brian Windhorst said, who's close to the Cleveland market, he said that he doesn't see Spider Mitchell signing an extension as well. So the Knicks are keeping some flexibility. You know, RJ Barrett's 20 something million is very movable. These other contracts, Emmanuel Quickly, I won't be surprised if they give him a solid extension, maybe 17, 18, 20 mil. Emmanuel Quickly, which would be tradable as well. Very tradable salary, outgoing. Um, so yeah, I guess if I had to say what's the best thing the Knicks have going for them is still flexible contracts. Uh, as they keep preaching, man, draft picks and flexible contracts that are movable. The question always begs though, when is that time going to come? When are the Knicks are finally going to make that decision? Well, I think it's coming. One of those reasons why I just said we have two, possibly four first round draft picks in this upcoming draft, and three second round draft picks as well. So with Jalen Brunson in his prime, while he's earning a very, very cheap deal, the time is now to make that swing and get that next guy in here as well. I won't be surprised if Donovan Mitchell, if the Cleveland situation comes to a head in the next 12 months, and they realize that he's a sunken cost, and that they realize they better trade him. So that's one scenario. I won't be surprised if the Donovan Mitchell thing comes to a head. We've seen Damian Lillard now get aggressive and force this trade. I don't think the Karl Anthony Towns thing's happening. I think they really like Mitch. Yeah, $15 million, very, very cheap deal for Mitch. Seems like they've doubled down on Julius Randle now. So yeah, I really think it's going to be that 2 or the 3 spot. It's either going to be a Spider, Levine's not likely, but maybe a Paul George kind of thing. I said last night in the stream, if you guys seen it, check it out. But the day one watch along last night, I was saying, SGA, if there's a guy you're going to give up all your picks and pieces for a guy who's a growing all-star, a star in the league, SGA kind of guy, right? He would be a perfect dream fit next to Jalen Brunson. Can take over, can score, can defend, got size. But what's happening with OKC? They're getting competitive now, and that's the thing. We got Josh Giddey coming up for an extension. They got Chet Holmgren, his first year back in the league now. OKC got more picks than they can throw at anyone. So the time's going to come for them to try to start winning as well. So yeah, SGA's a dude. Brandon Ingram would be a dude. Let's see what happens with the Pelicans this year. They're forced to make a real bad, tough decision on a lot of guys. Ingram might ask out soon if they don't win. Zion, I think they might start to realize, what, we got to capitalize on some value, before he goes through another season without playing. So that's critical for them out there. David Griffin, sometimes getting too smart for his own good, just like Masai Ujiri. These dudes who are used to trying to fleece the Knicks and be tough around the league, like Danny Ainge, who's still the best at it. But David Griffin, Masai Ujiri hasn't worked out well for them. Talk about some of the biggest losers this offseason. It's been the Pelicans, and it's been the Toronto Raptors also. So it's interesting. I think, Toronto trying to salvage that situation, losing Fred and getting Dennis Schroeder, that's a sideways or backwards move. They weren't a playoff team, and they got worse. So yeah, what's Toronto gonna do? But yeah, I mentioned SGA, I mentioned Brandon Ingram, I mentioned Embiid. You guys tell me who is the next guy you want, who you think could be gettable, who you think's realistic. 1804 says Spider can't stop talking about the Knicks. Wouldn't be surprised if they tried to trade him now. I'm sure glad the Knicks didn't buckle to Ainge last year. Yep, 110%. That is one thing. If you're going to say the Knicks have any kind of advantage with the CAA or New York connections, Leon Rose, it's got to be that they got to know what Donovan Mitchell's intention is. Like, same with Zion. Zion's rep by agents that Leon Rose used to manage, used to work for as well. So uh, the Knicks front office got to have that kind of intel. Otherwise, I don't know what's happening, but they've got to have certain intel. And I really do think they probably know what Spider Mitchell is leaning towards. He's a true pro. I think he's didn't force his way to the Knicks, so he's going to try to win in Cleveland, but the clock is ticking. Yeah, as D Danny also says, salute. We have all these solid contracts, but the Lakers have 2 max players and signed like 10 good players since yesterday. How? Yeah, that's a great question. And I looked into it. A lot of people asking last night too, how did the Lakers do all this? Well, it started with obviously they had some guys taking up some salary. They had bird rights. They had Dennis Schroeder who left. That freed up some money. They traded for Hashimura, so that gave them bird rights on him. Remember at the deadline they traded for him. Austin Reeves was a player that they signed early, so they had his bird rights. They could go over the cap as a restricted free agent as well. So long story short, the Lakers are paying a hell of a lot of tax, but they were able to sign all these guys because they had their bird rights. Also, D'Lo Russell, also the other one. Yeah, Christian Wood's out there. I've always liked his game, but in terms of fit in this locker room, what kind of salary is he going to take? That's interesting. But yeah, I like a guy who's his size, who can shoot. Definitely, we need that. Um, I was hoping we would maybe kick the tires on Jock Landale if it was like for a veteran minimum. But man, he ended up getting 4 years, 32, which is a great payment for him. But yeah, the Lakers definitely are the winners. They got better. They made the right trades when they needed to, which is exactly why the Knicks traded for Josh Hart so that we could have his bird rights as well. But helping us out, he opted in, and that's helped us out a lot. That's able to now we're able to use the full mid level. Fam. But yeah, there is concerns over Christian Wood's defense and personality too. Yeah, a lot of teams spending their money now, but where the New York Knicks do have these cost-friendly deals, but with Obi now out the door, realistically, the next 2, 3 guys is probably Fournier, IQ, and RJ in the next major deal. If there's no major deal, these guys are staying. But if there's a major deal to be had, or to clear cap space for a Mitchell, for an Embiid, it's got to be those guys. I feel. Obviously, Mitchell Robinson's contract is very easy to include as well with our future moves as well. There'll be lots of teams trying to take him on. But yeah, it's actually crazy that Twitter's down of all days as well. So yeah, we're waiting on. I don't know what the hold up with the DiVincenzo thing is, but I really do feel like it's probably got to be trades or other teams holding on to their cap space to see if they might be able to pay DiVincenzo more. But I tell you what, the Indiana Pacers definitely got better. They're going to be on my league pass watch, which sucks because they're an Eastern Conference rival. But to have Mathurin, Halliburton, Obi, they picked up some great guys in the draft as well. Bruce Brown now as well. How could I forget? They picked up Walker, Miles Turner, of course. Andrew Nemhard, Buddy Hield, Neesmith, Isaiah Jackson. Man, are they fun. It pains me to say it, but Indiana are a pretty fun team right now with Obi. Uh, and I've heard a lot of people say this, but I won't be surprised if Obi doesn't really get that many more minutes with Indiana. He's going to get a solid opportunity to play, but do you guys think Obi's going to average 30 minutes with Indiana? That may not necessarily be the case. Now he's going to get an opportunity to play, and he's not going to be behind Julius Randle. Maybe he's going to help himself get that contract extension, but he might average 20 minutes, 25 minutes with Indiana, which is still an improvement, but not exactly the best for him either. So let's look at the pros and the cons, right, for how you guys are feeling. Let me know. But Leon Rose, right, he seems to be patient in terms of ducking the Cats, these kind of deals. Maybe Zach LaVine overpay, OG overpay. Otherwise, they would have done it already. I feel like if those guys were truly gettable for a decent package, I feel like he would have done it already. Let's say if you could get Cat for two first round picks and a salary, he might have done that. Zach LaVine also OG. So he has been patient, but on the flip side, at certain times when he could have struck, he's also been negligent, or too passive and negligent, giving Nerlens Noel, Evan Fournier, Derrick Rose, Kemba Walker guaranteed money. So it's been a hit and miss. It's been a mixed bag for real. And it also may not also all be on Leon Rose. He does listen to other people. World Wide West is very influential, very forceful with certain things, right? He wanted the New York Knicks to keep Obi, and World Wide West made sure that the Knicks asked for a first round draft pick last deadline, and no move was able to be done. So there's also some other dudes he listens to as well. But I tell you what, he probably doesn't listen to Brock Aller a lot, because in terms of the asset management, he's been waiting a lot as well. What's good, Daniel? I thought about Jericho Sims' role now with Obi gone. Unfortunately, I think Jericho is still a real true center, but he can play some four. Defensively, he's great. Can stay in front of guys on the perimeter. He can be a help defender and block some shots also. But I think he's just a little bit too slow in the modern game to be a four. He's too heavy. But he could give us some backup minutes. But I think he's more of a true center as well. He's stuck behind iHeart, and he's stuck behind Mitch as well. Now, a guy like Isaiah Roby, who's a bit more in the modern game, a bit more versatile, I think we could maybe expect to see him. Search and destroy. Where does really Dame go? That's the main question. I think wherever the Blazers can get the most value, I really think it's probably going to be the Heat. Probably going to end up being the Heat in a three-way deal. There's talk the Brooklyn Nets. He would entertain the Brooklyn Nets, but the Brooklyn Nets may not want to take him on. But I think they're interested in taking on a Tyler Hero as the third team. So the latest is Portland are open to dealing with the Heat, but they don't want to take Tyler Hero back. Now, the problem is the Heat don't have a whole lot of pieces to give outside of Tyler Hero. So what's going to happen with that? I don't know if Dame, he's from Cali, so I don't know if the Clippers can get involved and try to pick up a Dame. They should be forgetting about Harden. They should be trying to get Dame. I think Dame to the Clippers would be a better fit as well. But I guess next to Jimmy is also a good fit. But yeah, as Chris Haynes reporting, any Portland-Miami deal for Lillard would almost certainly include an involvement of a third team. Yeah. And it's going to be one of the biggest three-team deals in history, they say. So yeah, we had Jock Landale signing a 4-year, 32 milli with Rockets as well. That's a crazy deal for him, who is just a veteran minimum guy as well. But shout out to him for earning the bag. So Austin Reeves has returned to the Lakers on a $56 million deal with his mid-level bird rights, I feel. Yeah, the KJ Martin trade was nice, trading him for a couple second-round picks as well. Dylan Brooks finding himself in the Houston Rockets. If we're picking up on winners and losers, I don't know if the Rockets are really a winner, but I think they've realized they need some veterans. They got Fred, they got Dylan now, they got Patty Mills, and they got Landale. So that's some solid veteran leadership for a young core that badly needs it. Memphis did the same thing. They got Marcus Smart and they got Derrick Rose now, which is a great young great point guard, veteran point guards for the young guys as well. The Knicks need shooters. Yeah, I think DiVincenzo solid, shot 39%. So that's going to help, but he's not a sharpshooter by any means, but he's solid. He's solid off the. He can shoot off the bounce as well, catch and shoot. Yeah, what's good, chat? Salute. The streets are buzzing on day 2. Right, we're still waiting for the Knicks to make their first signing, but it's coming because we traded Obi. We freed up some space, and we're ready. We're ready to absorb some salary now. We got the mid-level. JP asks, what's your thoughts on signing Jeff Green, Uncle Jeff, as a backup for Randall? Great corner 3 shooter, still plays a lot younger than his age. Yeah, I think Green is past his prime, but yeah, a solid veteran as a backup for. I don't know if he's a free agent. He might be, I think. So, the Denver Nuggets have re-signed DeAndre Jordan, and they've lost Bruce Brown obviously now, so they might make it a priority. JG says Austin Reeves going to drop back down to earth next season. It is risky, paying a dude after one season. It's kind of that risk you sometimes got to take. But yeah, with that said, I think Emmanuel Quickley has shown us more than enough to give him a solid extension, and I make sure that's a tradable contract. So anything from 15 to 17, 18 mil, maybe 20 mil max for Emmanuel Quickley would be a solid extension. I know he lost a lot of money in the playoffs. Let's keep it real. Emmanuel Quickley was headed for maybe even a bigger payday, but he messed that up in the playoffs. As well as the shooting, the Knicks have needed shot creation as well. We saw that in the Heat series. A lot of dudes standing around, guys that could not create a shot. Jalen Brunson was one of the only ones, as we saw, man. Even Julius Randle can't create a shot in the playoffs. It's a whole nother animal. The defense locks in, and a guy is on a string. So DiVincenzo does help in terms of being a steady veteran, a solid IQ, again, ball handling duties, and can shoot also. So he's a solid mid-level guy. Hopefully we get that done soon. But what that means is RJ and Josh Hart, I would expect to play a lot of the 4 off the bench too. Tom Thibodeau actually said he's open for that. He's open for RJ to play more 4. And I think that's suitable for RJ, if I'm keeping it real. I think RJ is, as he goes into his career, he's going to get, stronger as well. He's not the quickest in terms of his feet. So I think RJ playing some four is pretty good off the bench. Um, Maybe it's going to help stretch the floor a bit more as well, as RJ Barrett can sit out on the perimeter as well and bring the four guy out. As we know, RJ Barrett's solid on the break too, solid at getting to the cup, and drawing contact, getting foul calls too. So um, yeah, I'm leaning towards that's what the Knicks are, looking at, playing RJ and Hart at the four spot. But obviously Tibbs likes rebounding too. So we got Jericho Sims, we got Hartenstein, we got Mitch as well. What's good, Will? Wouldn't mind Uncle Jeff. Yeah, I'm all for a guy who can shoot, definitely. We're not going to rely on him a lot, but let's see. Um, so for those wondering, we've got a few names still available. Yeah, we need the shot creation, JG, 100%. I think RJ running with the bench a lot more is going to help. Maybe quickly get some minutes with the starters. Maybe DiVincenzo and Hart as well. Let's not forget Hart was only here for kind of a cup of coffee, 30 odd games. Coming into a full regular season from the very beginning. Tom Thibodeau might continue playing him 30, 38 minutes, 35 minutes, and closing minutes with the starting unit as well. Um, Andre's thoughts on the PG situation. I would be for PG, depending on what we're giving up. If it's quickly and a couple of picks, salary, I would take a 2-year flyer on PG. I think that's the perfect fit for what this team needs, and we don't know what kind of level they could go to with extra wing length and shooting as well in the playoffs. Um, so those other names, Dirty says if we miss out on Donte, there's Kelly Oubre, Eric Gordon, Malik Beasley, and then Christian Wood. So we know the Knicks are fans of Malik Beasley. We know they're fans of Eric Gordon, so I could see that. I think Tibbs likes Oubre. Ideally, I would like to split it. I know there's not a lot of minutes to go, but I don't know if I would give full $12 million to Eric Gordon. I think he's past that. I think Malik Beasley also could probably get him for a 5 mil if the money dries up. What are you guys' thoughts on that? Who else do you want? Obviously, OG Anunoby is CAA now, but there's a lot to play out with Toronto. Which direction do they go? They're kind of stuck in the middle now because, like I said, I think Masai Ujiri was too passive at the deadline, or he put the price tag too high. The thing is, why Danny Ainge was able to get away with it is because Donovan Mitchell is Donovan Mitchell. Like there's plenty of teams in the league that wanted Donovan Mitchell. I don't know how many teams in the league there are that want OG Anunoby that are willing to give more than 2 unprotected picks. Go into the 3 or the 4 realm for a guy like OG. He's not quite that level yet, or he's not quite worth that in the eyes of other teams. So yeah, it's been a monumental day so far. We bid farewell to Obi Toppin. It's been a fun three seasons with Obi, full of ups and downs. To think he had 2 playoff performances out of the 3 years as well, which is kind of crazy. In his rookie year, Atlanta, then playing, he had some great games against Cleveland as well, but his style of play just was not utilized. You used for shooting, and credit to him for adapting and growing his game growing the shooting as well, which was still inconsistent, but flashiness, his ability to get to the cup, the 2 time slam dunk, 1 time I think slam dunk winner. Um, yeah, I think Obi can look back on his New York career, and say that he did everything he could have done. He was a true professional, was a great teammate for IQ for everyone. Um, said the right things, when the coach was, not doing him any favors. He was, polite. Um, he was doing all of that. Yeah. Julian says, "Where's the complaint forums?" Yep. I'm tired of the effing front office. All these gems and nothing so far as well. Yeah, I think moves are in the pike. It's just we're waiting for that situation to strike. Yeah, I don't know how you guys feel, but yeah, Donovan Mitchell paired up with Brunson is still a tricky pairing, but it's talent. It's a talent upgrade. Uh, I know some of you are fans of playing IQ next to Brunson as well, a guy who can also shot create, defend, can shoot from deep as well. Is this a season where they extend IQ or they play him a lot more, hoping to boost his trade value even more? That's a move that might work. Yeah, get IQ that 6 man of the year role, and then you can flip him at the deadline for a couple of firsts, perhaps, or in a blockbuster as well. But yeah, they continue to stack these chips, right? We went through the draft picks we have, fam. We got 2 more second rounders. We don't know when they're coming our way from Indy. We have the Dallas pick and our own pick next year. We know we're not making a lot of selections with a full roster as well. We got Rocas overseas. We still got Deuce McBride on a rookie year deal. We got Jacob Toppin now, Jalen Martin. They're going to be fun to watch in summer league. That's going to be fun to see what those guys can do. But yeah, we've also got obviously our other young guys, RJ, still on his first extension. But I really do think IQ is that dude who has, next to RJ, has our next biggest trade value in terms of young player with salary and picks. We know Evan Fournier is going to stick around until that trade comes. Evan Fournier is going to be a pro. He hopes to get traded. Kaiser says we're going to be mid and trade assets to be mid. I think, yeah, RJ Barrett's value around the league as of now is kind of a neutral. I feel the contract with his play is neutral. I'm banking on hopefully IQ to build up his value around the league. We've never heard yet what Mitchell Robinson's trade value would be. Just Mitch alone would be interesting right now. I think if we put Mitch on the block, there would be teams willing to take his cost-friendly contract for at least a first-round pick or a couple of first-round picks, possibly. I think Mitch has solid value as well. I don't think Julius Randle has a lot of great trade value around the league. Yeah, as Dirty's mentioned, also with the IQ starting minutes, he's averaging 25 and 5 as well. I know playoffs were different. There was some injury issues also, but yeah, IQ in the regular season, he's full of confidence. Yep. Great question for mid-range. How much should they pay IQ? Should they pay him? I think it could go either way. You could make the case for let's gauge the market. Let's see which teams are really interested in IQ and say let's talk again at the deadline, prior to the deadline. We're going to let IQ build up his stock. Let's see how his trade value is. If his trade value is really good, we could come up to a solid extension. Although the extension deadline is October 23rd. So, yeah, that's a great point. we have to make the decision on an IQ extension prior to the season, which sucks. I don't know why they put that deadline there, but yeah, I think there's a case to pay IQ 18, you know, anywhere if we can get him from 15 to 20 mil per. I think that would be a solid tradable contract with the ability for him to outplay that contract. But I think at the very minimum, IQ's floor is 15 to 20 mil based on what we're seeing. I mean, let's be real. If a Bruce Brown is now earning 22 mil, then I think we've seen enough from Emmanuel Quickly to assume he's worth at least 16 mil. What's good, Pudge? Forever salute. They basically gave Obi away for nothing. Yep. Yeah, a bag of Skittles, cap space, and an exception as well. Yep. We continue to stack up these picks that we're not going to make. But yeah, we've got to consider too. I know everyone's reacting to the new salaries too, but yeah, the cap's changing also. So yeah, if you consider a guy like LaMelo Ball, for example, 260 mil, who was more valuable to their franchise this year, LaMelo Ball or Emmanuel Quickly? So yeah, I won't be surprised if Emmanuel Quickly is worth $100 million deal, 4-year deal, kind of thing. But yeah, everything's changing around us, man, with this salary. And as the Knicks go along, our bad contracts, so to speak, will get better in value around the league. We just got to continue to play these guys and hope that they perform. Yeah, lose on the money too, 100%. In terms of Bruce Brown's situation was different, as well. He balled out in the playoffs. That's what's going to get you paid. That's never going to change. You win the championship and you're a valuable role player and you show up in the playoffs, you absolutely deserve the bag. Emmanuel Quickly did not show up, but he's also got the certain skills and the work ethic and the age to be in his favor as well. In terms of what's their plan, Ron, just to get cap space for what? This team hasn't won enough for us to trust the front office. What are they collecting the assets for as well? I think they're collecting a lot of these assets to probably do an overpay. Let's be real, because teams aren't doing the Knicks any favors. So if a day comes where Donovan Mitchell and Joel Embiid are available, the Knicks are going to have to outbid everybody. That's just the truth. The Cavs are going to be sour. They're not going to trade Donovan Mitchell to the Knicks for anything less than an overpay. So it's probably going to be, 5 second-round picks, 3 first-round picks plus players as well. For Joel Embiid, maybe more. So if I had to guess, I think that's their plan. I think wait for the guys they want and make and just trade everything. Just even if they've got to sort of rebuild slowly and start around those guys, I think they've got to try to get those superstars first. And that's the problem. Like we don't hear this a lot from reporters, but Mark Berman sort of insinuated that there are league people around the league that are frustrated with the Knicks, frustrated with maybe it's fair or not fair. Maybe they're just sour in the agent world, but they're frustrated that the Knicks deal with CAA. They deal in a certain way. Also, we know we're the mecca. Dudes like Danny Ainge, Boston, Miami, Brooklyn. There's not a lot of teams that like to deal with the Knicks, and that's proof. I think. We mentioned Obi. The Knicks tried to get a first-round pick for Obi last deadline, and no one was willing to pony up. Maybe if Obi Toppin was on another team, they would have got a first-round pick for Obi. So that's another example where other teams, aren't happy with some of the things the Knicks are doing as well. So, yeah, it's been crazy. Yeah, with Kuzma going back to the Wizards. he's going to put up big numbers. So we didn't go in for him. I'm okay with that. I know, like, the next kind of move is got to be a significant upgrade. I think you could be frustrated with the Knicks being working slow, but what they're doing is they're not making a move for a dude who's marginal, who's who's a dude maybe like OG or Kuzma. I think they are waiting for an All NBA guy. Um, I think they're happy with continuing to play with RJ, with Randall. Let's improve the bench. Let's spend this mid level. Let's see what Brunson does in his second year with Quickly, and let's wait for an All NBA guy before if we're going to trade everything. Um, see, right, if you're going to trade 3 picks for OG, why not just trade 4 picks for Donovan Mitchell or Joel Embiid? I don't know if the Rudy Gobert package is ever gonna be available again. I think too many teams are leery of that, how that played out. Um, so that's interesting. Uh, yeah, as Nick Yak also highlights, like, yeah, in terms of whoever's better or who's got more potential, it's marginal. RJ Barrett, OG, given RJ's age, 22, I think he has, is OG that much of an upgrade to give away all those draft picks? I think that's the way the Knicks are thinking. They're just happy to operate with more patience now, I think. Um, see, where I would get concerned is if the Knicks continue to get passed in the East. But like I said before, I don't think Atlanta's passed the Knicks. I don't think Toronto, Chicago. I don't think Indiana yet. Washington, Detroit. Um, who else am I missing? Um, I think Cleveland got slightly better, but yeah, the Knicks at worst are the sixth, fifth, fourth best team still, and we keep going. Yeah, Obi will drop some big numbers. Yep, let's see, let's wait. He will get more opportunities. He will play in a better system for that. Talking about running up and down with Tyrese, with Hallie, with Mathurin and those guys. That's going to be great. Also, Miles Turner, who can sit out, stretch the floor. Also, that's going to be a good fit with Obi, with Miles Turner. Um, I mean, at the bare minimum, we could have pried Isaiah Jackson. Maybe they were maybe he was offered. Maybe we didn't. Maybe we didn't want him. Um, so don't forget, guys. Some of the moves we don't make necessarily is because we decided not to make. Um, I know people don't want the second round picks, but the Knicks chose not to want more salary. Indiana might have wanted to give us Isaiah Jackson. I don't know if they have a fit for him anymore. They might have wanted to give us Chris Duarte before he was traded, and we said no. They might have wanted to give us, like I said, one of those other guys, Buddy Hield, I mentioned earlier. Maybe we said no to Buddy Hield, quite possibly. So it's clear that we just wanted cap space. We wanted some flexibility. We just wanted some draft picks and an exception and keep it moving. But yeah, on paper, it's an ugly trade. We're giving up something for nothing. Um, yeah. Also, we want floor spacing too. So yeah, we want some extra shooting, but ball handling too. Um, but yeah, look, Indiana are kind of in a situation like we are. They're absolutely stacked. They can't give all the minutes now. Watch them have to flip Isaiah Jackson now and Buddy Hield soon because they've just got way too many guys. They drafted 3 guys. They signed Bruce Brown. They've still got Nemhard, Mathurin, Halliburton, Obi. There's a certain limit to where you've got too many guys. Um, Now we got like a guy like Evan Fournier sitting on the bench who's we're paying a lot and he's not even playing. So that's how really deep the Knicks roster is right now. Now we pick up options on Deuce McBride and Jericho Sims. I think those guys are going to stick. I think those guys will be, situationals, will be backups for injuries, help us out in blowouts, those kinds of things. But I do think, yeah, after the mid-level, we're going to bring in more rotation players, another rotation player with that. Um, so we have one of the Heat guys also put up Damian Lillard's one of his likes on Twitter. Um, the guy posted, need Dame to pull some LeBron type ish, goes to Miami, win a couple rings, then come back home and win it. Portland, this is for you. And Damian Lillard is like that. So yeah, it's kind of crazy, right? This situation where he wanted to be loyal, but he just dragged it on, I think, way too long. I think if Lillard was traded 2 years ago, it would have been perfect. He still would have been in his prime. The Blazers would have got a better package. Maybe the Knicks would have got him before Brunson as well. So yeah, in this league, you can't wait too long. Look at the Hawks. They can't find a home for DeAndre Hunter. They had to trade John Collins for a bag of Skittles, just like Obi as well. So yeah, you just wait too long. So yeah, let's see. Apparently the Donte DiVincenzo deal is in the bag right now. The Woj bomb's finally dropped, and here's a New York Knick, right? Finally got a signing on live. Let's go. We got Donte DiVincenzo is a New York Knick now. So the signing is for 4 years, $50 million with the New York Knicks. He reunites with his Villanova title teammates Jalen Brunson, Josh Hart, to bolster the Eastern Conference semi-finalists. Yep. Of course, Woj was going to get that one, being CAA. This is the Knick Wildcats up in here as well. So, yeah, we knew it was going to come. There it is, ladies and gentlemen. Donte DiVincenzo. What are our initial thoughts, fam? Now that it's secure, he's a New York Knick. Frank Marto says done. DiVincenzo, 4 years, 50 mil. Yep. How's y'all Twitter even working? Yeah, I feel you struggle, fam. Just believe that. It's been a crazy day. Yeah, it's been crazy. As I'm gonna get this thing on screen. But yeah, it's finally official now with Donte. Here we go. So the majority, yep, as he says, the majority of the 12.4 non-taxpayer mid-level went to Donte. We're below the tax by 4 milli still. Below the first apron hard cap 6.6 milli with 14 players under contract. So that's some flexibility to make some fringe moves. Maybe a backup for. We still have the annual I think the annual exception as well, which is about 4 milli. Yep. So yeah, we have some people on the fence. HP, good signing. David's not as high on it. Villanova City and Gotham. Yep. Yeah, he's a great pedigree, great signing overall. I know people are waiting for that next star. I think it's going to come, but at the very least, he's a tradable contract in a bigger package too. So, I don't know if you guys always know my thoughts about signing players for just cap space. That's how winning is done, in my opinion. The first thing is the best way to build a winner, a contender, is to draft one or two or multiple studs that become studs for you. The second thing is to sign quality players with cap space without giving up any assets. And then the third way is to trade for that star as well. So Evan can still be moved 100%. NYC is adding Donte is like a band adding a third guitar player when they needed a drummer. Um, I think it's more of a fit now though with Obi gone, because we're going to play some small ball. I think we're going to play some small ball 4 as well. Isaiah Roby's here too, so maybe RJ Barrett plays a lot more at the 4. Does it make Grimes more expendable? I don't think so yet. I think Grimes is very valuable on a rookie deal as well. We continue to see, but a 4-year, 50 milli deal now, so he's locked up for 4 years. There you see him in the orange and blue. I don't know if he's going to be rocking that number 0, but Donte now with a Villanova Nick gang. He's had some flashy plays last season, averaged 26 minutes, shot 39%. So he's used to playing big time minutes, has won a championship in college. Expect him to bring what Brunson and Josh Hart's brung, which is hard nosed, reads the play, knows the game, can play selfless as well. He's just a winning player. Also, he's not a liability. Defensively, he can lock down. He can play some D. Yeah, Clawvins asks, where's the minutes coming from? Maybe an IQ trade happens at the deadline. I won't be surprised. But I think his minutes will come on the bench. He'll be coming in with some backup minutes. He might even run some plays off the bench too. It allows Josh Hart to kind of sit into his other role also. Yeah, but in terms of that situation, right, the money's drying up. But it's interesting to note that the Knicks are below the tax by 4 milli. So I mentioned, some of these Knick players might have bonuses that could end up, using up that 4 milli. But it seems like the Knicks are going to stick around this level. They might add a couple of veteran minimum guys as well. 14 players under contract. We're 6.6 mil below the first apron. Also. So yeah, in terms of the playoffs, right? We need more ballers. We were short in the playoffs. This has helped the Knicks definitely. Talk about going up against the Heats, the hard-nosed dudes. As we have Josh Hart already tweet out now. Now there is some concerns from people that we're a bit small, but it definitely forces Tibbs to play different, to play more up and down, get quicker off the bench. There's no doubt the Knicks were too slow, isolation as well. So I like a lineup off the bench, which could be quickly DiVincenzo, Josh Hart, RJ Barrett, and Isaiah Hartenstein. What do you guys think of that lineup? That's very, very versatile, good rebounding. Talk about Quickly's rebounding is solid. Donte, Hart, RJ, and Ihart as well. That's 5 guys that can rebound the ball. as well and can pass. Isaiah Hartenstein, of course, is a good passer as well. So 12.5 mil. It's a solid pickup, very responsible. Yeah, again, a dude who's won a championship in college, played with the Warriors. He knows all about it as well. $50 million 4-year deal right there, signed. I'll check out if there's any options to that. But we finally made the deal. We finally got it done. 2 deals today now, trading Obi Toppin to free up the minutes and free up some money to make way for Donte as well. So Josh Hart, RJ Barrett, I would expect them to be our backup fours. We're waiting on the Damian Lillard buzz, right? Wants to go to the Heat. Let's see what they can pull off. Do the Knicks still get involved in that deal? Let's see. But yeah, it's great to see that Dame has actually finally forced that trade. I don't know how your guys' Twitter is working, but mine's still updating. Thank the Lord. It's funny now, yeah, Jay Wright unemployed. So many people talk about Jay Wright. Now, could he be the next coach in waiting? Yeah, Keith said Donte cold-blooded. Can't deny that. Yeah, he's a winner, definitely. Yeah, we got another guy who's a winner as well. He ain't flashy. Let's see what Jacob Toppin can do. This Jalen Martin guy too. I like what they bring in terms of the next guys up the pike. So 19 con man wants Fournier going to the Spurs so we can get that big trade exception. That'd be huge. Worry now, worry later, celebrate now. Says Dirty. Yep, you've been happy with the Donte move for a minute. But if we just eliminate all else, just consider the salary, fam. Look at some of the deals that have been done. Talk about Jock Landale, 4 years, 32. Talk about Bruce Brown, $22 million a year. Like Donte DiVincenzo for $12 million for his production. I think Knicks fans are going to be pretty happy with that. And especially if a guy like an RJ Barrett or an IQ were to get traded for another guy, for another wing, we do have help. We have backups as well. He's going to help his buddy Jalen Brunson also. Sean says, help me out. Where will he play? He'll fit into the backup 2 and 3, fam. We traded Obi Toppin. So the guy you wanted out of here is gone. So I think there's some backup minutes now. But also, let's not fully evaluate because the off-season ain't done yet. Let's not forget. There could be some consolidation coming. So I think they like a bit of Roby, they like Jericho Sims, and they like RJ Barrett and Hart to play the backup 4, fam. Bruce Brown's solid, but if you look at, for me personally, David, if you look at 22 mil for Bruce Brown and 12 mil for Donte, it's a solid pickup, right? Let's not forget Bruce Brown would have looked good with Denver because he's playing next to 2 All-NBA guys as well. So let's see what Bruce Brown can do on a team like Indiana that don't have that kind of level of talent. That's going to be something to watch as well. But yeah, like I talked about earlier, we're better than the Cleveland Cavaliers now. We're better than the Miami Heat. Let's wait to see. I don't think anyone's surpassed the Knicks this offseason in the East right now. And again, whether you think it's underwhelming or not, fam, you can't sneeze at versatility. The Knicks just got more versatile. More versatile. In this league, you need shot creation, you need ball handling, right? I know guys want length and they want wings. They want 6'8", 6'9" wings. But you also need shot creation in the playoffs too. Um, 6'4". Yep. Well, yeah, it's a different age, Sherwin. It's small ball lineups now, right? Everyone want to highlight everyone's height. This guy's 6'2", this guy's 6'3". If you're a good rebounder and you play small ball, I think that's the way the NBA is going off the bench. I think how many true traditional centers are there? If you're looking at it, the big man's getting phased out now. I think I think off the bench you want to get up and down. You want to put up some points too. So we got, like I said, if the bench lineup is quickly DiVincenzo, Hart, Barrett, that's four ball handlers that can get it. Also with a guy like Isaiah Hartenstein, who's a great passer, who will find the cutters as well. So um, if you're small, that's one thing, but if you can rebound solid, I think that's another thing. But yeah, more moves to come. That's the story, really. I don't think Emmanuel Quickly is gonna stay once that next star is available. Jalen Brunson is our starting point guard. Let's not forget that. Right. I don't see a world where Emmanuel Quickly is our starting two guard, and he's definitely not going to be staying as a backup, earning a big money. So I think these moves are going to make more sense in the coming months. It's 6 to 12 months perhaps, when when we have a chance to get the star in, because this is a 4-year deal for Donte, double D. Yeah, double D's in the house. Melo retired, but yeah, we're still needing I guess if you're looking at the next move, the Knicks need a wing with size. Now Donte DiVincenzo, a dude who can play off the bench and can start. That's another good thing with Josh Hart, DiVincenzo, and Barrett. They can play off your bench and they can start, because it's going to be a long season. There is going to be a lot of injuries, or hopefully not a lot, but there is going to be some injuries. There's going to be load management. Hopefully, there's going to be fatigue, and we got some versatility. But yeah, Quick wants the bag. Best believe that. He's seen these dudes. Trust me. Could you imagine if Quickly had an awesome playoffs? He'd be looking at Bruce Brown getting 22 mil. He'll be like, man, he'll be on the phone to his agent. So the date for the Quickly extension is October 23rd, I think, right before the season begins. I think it could go either way. I think the Knicks could give him a friendly extension and try to trade him, try to do some goodwill and give him the guaranteed money. Maybe they could get a cheaper price, because Quickly didn't play very well in the playoffs. Yeah, but what's good, Abuelo? Yeah, as what's next? Torrey Craig, maybe. Maybe Kelly Oubre takes the annual exception. Who knows? The Knicks may have $4 million, $6 million to spare. They could always waive some of these other guys if they really want. They picked up Deuce McBride's 1 point something, and of course the other guy as well, Jericho Sims as well. So maybe there's another move coming even before the season begins. Yeah, what's good, JV? I would also like to get some shooters if we can, but I don't know how many good shooters you can find for the vet minimums now. I like the Seth Curry pickup, when Seth Curry was picked up by the Dallas Mavericks. That was a great pickup. Yep, Darren says I could see Kelly Oubre as a Knick. Yeah, as the cap space dwindles, he could be looking at teams that could need his services in terms of size. That'd be a steal if we could get Kelly Oubre for $4 million on a prove it deal. I remember Kelly Oubre went on an interview and was raving about the Knicks and raving about Tibbs as well. So let's look at that situation closely as well. We know players want to go where they feel comfortable. Um, yeah, Brandon Ingram would be the dream, man. SGA or Brandon Ingram for that wing spot. Mikal Bridges is not really gettable yet. Um, yeah, from Kentucky to Villanova, the New York Wildcats, says Alan Hahn. So we have an update on the Dame Lillard saga. Report Sam Amick says Lillard is prepared to only play for the Heat, and his stance is Heat or bust. He wants to compete with Jimmy and Bam to grow inside that famed Heat culture system, cringe, under Pat the Rat and Eric Spoelstra, while becoming the final piece to their championship puzzle. Man, cry me a river with that. It's easy to be that final piece, right? And be that mercenary that just chooses your destination, right? I lost a bit of respect for Dame in a way because, what he done now, he could have easily forced the trade earlier to help the Blazers, but he kept doing this soapbox-ish interviews and talking about stuff rather than, actually doing it earlier. Uh, Mo Bamba's available. Facts. 19. A big man who can shoot as well. Yeah, major cringe, Will, right? Hearing a Dame Lillard fawn all over Heat culture. I mean, you're kidding me. That's crazy. Yeah. Pudge says, yeah, will Tibbs know how to use them? Tibbs is going to have a lot more scrutiny. Now, the more talent you give Tibbs, the more pressure he's going to face to get the Knicks to win, to get the Knicks winning. And, the benchmark is the second round now. I don't think we could fall below the second round. It's got to be the third round, hopefully. But I do think in the next 12 months, the Knicks starting roster will look different. I think now with these picks coming to a head, the trade deadline, some tradable contracts still. Let's see. Glenn says keep IQ. He plays D. He's got the good shot, but he just needs to be consistent. I agree with the consistent part. He definitely stepped up big in his third year, but consistency is big. He had a successful year, runner up in six man, but does IQ have another level that he can go to? Is going to be interesting, or is he just that kind of guy? Is he a fringe six man of the year kind of thing? He choked in the playoffs. Let's keep it real. Mo Bamba, Harlem's own, would love to represent for his city. Yep, that's an interesting look. I could see the Knicks making one or two more signings, in terms of an established veteran, whether it's Kelly Oubre, Mo. We see the number on screen, 4 milli as well, with DD in the house as well. This is just going to make Brunson feel better and Josh Hart feel better about the situation. Let's keep it real. Imagine you make it to the pros and two of your best college buddies become your teammates as a pro. That's got to be crazy. What are the chances of that happening? Also, look out now for Ryan Arcidiacono, the other Villanova Wildcat, to come in and sign for the veteran minimum. I think they're a big fan of his. He's an emergency point guard, a backup. We have Mike Scotto report now that Uncle Jeff is signing a 1-year, $6 million deal to go to the Rockets. So that's a good pickup for the Rockets again. Another veteran. talking about that situation, they've got Paddy Mills, Jock Landale, Dylan Brooks, Fred Van Vliet, and Uncle Jeff. Now, so I think the Rockets are done pretty solid. They know what they needed to get, and they got it. Yeah, I think we'll get Ryan Arcidiacono, and who knows, maybe in the future, Mikal Bridges wants to make it a wants to complete the puzzle. Yeah, is the deal DiVincenzo is confirmed now. Jay Wright is going to be on Celebrity Row, waiting for this opportunity. Let's see. 3 of his Wildcats on the same team as well. We thought it was going to be Kentucky. That's not the case, unless we get Karl Anthony Towns with Randall. Yeah, I don't really think 12 mils the bag for DiVincenzo, but it's fair for both teams. It's pretty solid. Patrick Beverley going to the Sixers. That's going to be interesting. He has bigger role now. Yeah, everyone reacting to the DiVincenzo move, which is solid. Was expected. It was going to be coming, and he's a New York Knick. Now, going to be running that highlight reel of DiVincenzo with the Warriors. Yeah. Quickly wants big money. I think he wants the role first, and then yeah, he definitely wants the money. But I think the fact is with Brunson here, he knows the writing's on the wall. Fam, yep. Is the one, the only Jay Boogie. He's in the chat. Salute Jay Boogie. Health, happiness, blessings to everyone. We finally got that move done, and we bid farewell also to our guy Obi as well. Salute to Jay Boogie for dropping the Obi anthem with this situation. I'll never forget it. One of my favorite tracks. But yeah, it's straight buzzing right now with lots of movement. Cap space cleared up. Second round picks to trade. We got a trade exception. We got a little bit more money to sign another talent. And then the DiVincenzo transaction on a 4-year, $50 million deal for the mid-level. We're still waiting on the Harden Lillard move. We're going to be streaming again tomorrow night, day 3. But yeah, the picture's not complete yet. You know, this is one move to lead to the next move, and the next move. So yeah, the Dame Lillard saga is crazy. So we used up the full mid-level, definitely, for DiVincenzo. A guy who can play off ball. He shot 39%, averaged 26 minutes as well. We know the chemistry is going to be there. He plays hard. He's hard-nosed, but he's got good IQ. Also, has got some hops too as well. But we bid farewell to Obi. It was a bad trade in terms of losing his draft pick and value for just 2 second-round picks. It was just a case of we held on for too long with Obi. But in terms of that, I look forward to, and I wish him well. I look forward to see what he does with Indy. We still got Obi's brother in-house as well, as we see we can develop him. But guys like Kelly Oubre, Mo Bamba still has interest in staying with LA. The Clippers, what do they do? Right, free agency is still buzzing, and the biggest moves are yet to come. I agree with Glenn. I think it would be wise to get another backup power forward just in case, like a true power forward, a dude who has height and can rebound, ideally as well. What does he bring to the team, Ricky? I'm assuming you mean DiVincenzo. He brings versatility, first and foremost, can handle, can create, can shoot the three ball well, and can defend. I wouldn't say he's great or elite at any specific thing, but he's just a solid player. Very solid. I would say like a Josh Hart, basically, but better offensively. Much better offensively. Uh, yeah, we re-signed McBride. We used up the 1.7 mil. A lot of teams are interested in him. So I won't be surprised if we sold off of Deuce McBride for a couple of picks as well. Again, Lloyd wants Harden to the Clips now. I think that's most likely. We got Christian Wood out there too, Mo Bamba. I really think we should keep our eye on Kelly Oubre. I think if he can't get the bag somewhere, I think he would be interested in coming to the New York Knicks. Yeah, this Dame thing's depressing because he's cringing over the Heat right now. He wants to play next to Jimmy. Let's bring it on. That'd be a crazy playoff series again with Dame, Bam, and Jimmy against the New York Knicks. Do we get a Donovan Mitchell deal done sooner than people think? I do think Harden ends up to the Clips. I just don't see how it's going to happen, though, man. I think it's got to be a three-way between Portland and the Sixers. Kerry Salute, yeah, Christian Wood's available. Grant Williams still out there as well. We can create some room. We've got Evan Fournier's deal, which we can easily sell if we need. Maybe those second round picks can be used to clear Fournier's salary. Yep. Della Music 50, salute. Appreciate you for the super chat. You say, hope Obi balls out. Not a good day for us Nick diehards. No Harden, bring Zion to make it right. Appreciate you. Yeah, definitely echo that feeling in terms of Obi. He gave it his all for the New York Knicks, tried to develop his game, did whatever the club asked of him. He was a true professional, New York's own. He'll always be a New York Knick. You know, might even cop me an Obi jersey as well while I can. Maybe they'll be on clearance, but it's definitely not a feel good transaction by any means. No PG yet. Let's see what happens with Zion. I think I highlighted, the Pelicans is a big team to watch. The Raptors are a big team to watch as well. I think they've got a lot of retooling to be done. But yeah, those that want Christian Wood provides shooting at that 5 spot, which is big. Yep. Yeah, Justice. Yep. Appreciate you for that insight too. That's what I was saying earlier. He was on an interview podcast or something, and Oubre was saying how much he would like to play for the Knicks, for Tibbs or for the Knicks. I think it was 2 years ago, and like you said, he said that Fournier contract was supposed to be for him, but he loved to play for the Knicks. Yep. So keep an eye out for that. Kelly Oubre, possibly for that wing spot. Trey Lyles, unfortunately, re-signed with his team, fam, with the Sac Kings, I think. So, yeah, he brings offense, experience, IQ. Yep. Harden back. Imagine if Harden was to go back to OKC. EJ asked a great question. If Harden makes the Hall of Fame or gets his jersey retired, which club is he going to be known for? Man, it's not going to be Brooklyn. It's not going to be Philly. Probably OKC or Houston as well. But that just goes to show, man, the NBA's changed so much. There's no loyalty no more. I really hope Jalen Brunson retires a New York Knick. The way Carmelo Anthony should have retired as a New York Knick. But that this Damian Lillard thing has just shown us that, just like Patrick Ewing towards the end of his career. He wanted to win. He wanted to get paid. Some of these guys at the later end of their careers, they're not realistic about it. Dame wants the organization to keep paying him $60 million, even though they're not a contender anymore. So something's got to give. And you just move on, best for both sides. Um, but yeah, solid number for Donte DiVincenzo, 12 milli. Bruce Brown gets 22. We saw Dylan Brooks basically get the same as well. I think Dylan Brooks got a $12 million deal also. But yeah, a lot of people frustrated with the Obi deal. It's interesting. And Miami looks like they are going to get Damian Lillard at some point. Let's see how that deal can come to a head. Yeah, Jeff Green's off the board. Best believe that. Lonnie Walker, I think, is still on the team under contract, I feel. Yeah, as full-time NBA fan says, loyalty is boring in this new NBA era. It's just got to be what's best for both sides, such as the Obi deal. That's a classic case of, he's a New York native. We could have been sentimental and just try to keep Obi forever, but he's a baller. He wants to play. He wants to do well. He wants to get paid. So we shipped him out as well. I mean, if you ask any of these ballers if they can play on a team and win and get paid, I don't think they'll care if it's OKC, Indiana. It's not going to be forever. You're only in the NBA for a certain amount of years, so maybe Lonnie Walker is out. Maybe, yeah, the Lakers did spend a hell of a lot of money. They got Gabe Vincent. They got Cam Reddish. They let go of Malik Beasley. Is Malik Beasley a dude that you guys would be okay with? He's another dude like Kelly Oubre who's was interested in playing for the Knicks at some point. Malik Beasley is connected to this front office. Yeah, NYC Ball says Obi loved to dunk, but I never saw him dunk on anyone. Oh man, I think the dunk contest he did us proud. A lot of leak outs. I hope he really develops that 3-point shot. If Obi can become a real consistent 3-point shooter, which is something that people didn't expect him to become, that's going to be great for him, I think. I want nothing but the best. I hope he gets paid. I hope he gets the bag. I hope he plays against Indiana. I hope he plays well. But then I also hope he doesn't play well against the Knicks. Because I know he's going to love to stick it to the Knicks too. So that's going to be crazy too. But yeah, we're live on the streets of buzzing, smashing that like button for your cousin. And we're rocking out on day 2, man. Finally some action though, but some bittersweet sort of hit and miss with Obi and with Donte now. But these aren't the moves. These aren't the moves we're waiting on. We're waiting on the next big thing, right? Who have the Knicks got their sights on, right? I'm waiting to see what happens with Philly and Embiid. It's going to be very interesting to see. There's James Harden, Ben Simmons, Doc Rivers. They threw a monkey wrench in that thing. It's crazy what's happened in Philly, right? The process was going great. They had Simmons, Embiid, Fultz. They had assets. And then look at them now. Look at them now. Right? They don't even know where to go, where to pivot. Right? There's a lot of pressure on Daryl Morey to get something back for James Harden. Could it be an aging Paul George? I don't know. I don't know what's going to happen, man. I think the Damian Lillard Harden thing's going to happen probably at the same time. Darren says, I don't have any issue with Beasley or Oubre. Yep. They would give us a bit of size versatility, but I think Oubre would be more than what this team needs. I think Malik Beasley here with Donte is kind of like another double up, fam. Yeah, kind of like another double up. Yeah, as the Portland GM Sherwin says went out today and says now in pursuing a star, we're gonna look for a star package as they should, man. There's no loyalty here anymore. If Dame Lillard wants out, we're gonna get the best package possible, man. We're not gonna take Tyler Hero and some spare parts as well. What for? Um, yeah, I could see this too. Donovan Mitchell coming, man. Donovan Mitchell is going to come sooner or later. That'll be a crazy matchup with the Heat and Knicks, with the two big threes, with Bam versus Randall, Jimmy versus Spider, and Dame versus Brunson. That'd be a crazy matchup. I don't know if Dame can find his way to the Nets. I don't know what they're going to be able to give up, but that's going to be fascinating. I think most likely it's Heat. Looks like he's narrowing it down to the Heat. Let's see if the Blazers, ignore his trade request and just deal him anywhere. That'd be crazy if they just dealt Dame to OKC for 6 first-round picks. What's good? The angry casual. Yeah, DiVincenzo's good. Yeah, he's solid. He's solid. He's good. Yeah, Harden to Portland. I could see that. D cool. What's up? I think at the end of the day, a team doesn't want a disgruntled guy. So that's the thing about really being forceful. Do a James Harden, a Ben Simmons, right? Force your way to wherever you want to go. Say, I'm not playing for no one, right? If you trade for me, then best believe I'm going to act up. That's how you get your way to wherever you want to get to, man. Ain't no other club going to want to deal with that, but you need to be forceful. And that ain't in Spider Mitchell's character. Spider Mitchell could have found his way to the Knicks if he was aggressive, but he just didn't do that. But at the end of the day, he found himself to Cleveland, man. So he's responsible. Yeah, Obi Toppin gonna thrive. I'm happy for him in Indiana, honestly. Halliburton seems happy. Obi's probably happy too. Kind of sad and happy to leave the Knicks, but leaves his brother behind as well. That kind of sucks as well. What a crazy turn of events. One minute you think you're playing with your brother, and then the next minute your brother comes in and then you're out, kind of thing. So that's crazy. But happy for Obi. Indiana's going to be solid as well. I think he's going to get his 20 to 25 minutes guaranteed. But let's see if he can turn that into something. He can turn that into a big payday. Also, I think playing with Miles Turner is going to be a good combination. But yeah, he was a pro, but he got too frustrated, in the end. So yeah, we're building this CAA Nova connections now, and we're doubling down on Tom Thibodeau type players. So who's the next guy you love to get in? Unfortunately, we missed out on Jeff Green. He would be a solid backup for Kelly Oubre is still that name out there. I'll be interested in seeing. That would be a good fit. So yeah, it's an interesting situation now with some dudes still available. This thing's going to go into day 3. Best believe that. Day 4, free agency. On the weekend, right? Everyone's buzzing. What do you guys think of LaMelo Ball's extension? 260 mil. For a guy who hasn't been able to stay healthy, that could be another Zion situation, Prayers up to his brother as well, Lonzo. Um, Lonzo probably going to sit out the whole year, to try to get healthy. But it's just sad. Um, yeah, AP, I agree. I think the NBA is going to become a lot like soccer. I don't know. I don't think there's much movement in the NFL. So what other sports could you compare this to? I think soccer, players change teams every 2, 3, 4 years. I think the NBA is becoming a lot like that now too. We've got the mid-season tourney coming up. Um, also, dudes trying to maximize their payday too, I guess. You can only play NBA ball for so long. Um, most players chasing the bag. Um, you know, I can understand. Like, I'm not going to get on Bruce Brown because he's been a role player his whole life and is yet to get paid. But he left a bona fide contender who could be on the verge of a dynasty to go to Indiana as well. Now I know Colorado ain't the best city also. No shade, but it ain't the most attractive place to play. But yeah, he left that for the bag. He left a dynasty. So, chase the bag first and then loyalty second. Um, and, on the flip side, there is some loyalty with, Brunson wanting to stay with New York, be with his father and be with the Knicks, who he grew up with. Same with Hart DiVincenzo now as well. DiVincenzo could have picked the mid-level and gone somewhere else, maybe to a team that was even better than the Knicks. But he's chosen the Knicks now. So I salute him. I salute him for that. Donte, left the Warriors now. Now he's a New York Knick. Um, Another thing I'm happy about is seeing some of these stupid GMs get what they deserve now with Masai Ujiri, David Griffin with the New Orleans Pelicans. Um, yeah, these guys got so many flowers back in the day. Let's let's see what the hell they deal with adversity now. You know, the sun's not always going to shine. When they landed Zion in the first overall pick, right? Everyone said David Griffin is the savior. He can't do no wrong, right? Let's see what the Pelicans can do now, facing adversity. Let's see what Masai Ujiri can do, trying to reconstruct the Toronto Raptors, now that they've been punched in the mouth. What's good, buzzer beater? Salute. Thank you for the super chat. Appreciate you always. Let's go. Buzzer says, salute. Best wishes to the one, the only Obi Toppin. Another first gone. Curse word. Yeah, facts, right? I think you said the same thing we're all thinking right now. Yeah, 8th overall pick. We could do a whole show on all the draft picks were blown, all the picks and draft picks that didn't turn out. But the Kevin Knox one, to miss out on Miles Bridges and Mikal Bridges sucks. But from Obi to miss out on, Halliburton now also. We missed out on Devin Booker. Of course, we missed out on Spider Mitchell from Frank Ntilikina. We missed out on Michael Porter Jr. as well from Kevin Knox. So the gift that keeps on giving. But yeah, Indiana's stacked, like Sherwin says. They got Jerace Walker. They've Jalen Smith, Isaiah Jacks, Obi. They got Nemhard. They got Mathurin, Halliburton, Isaiah Wong. They're stacked right now. But Obi's kind of a veteran now. It's like it's basically put up or shut up time for Obi. He's going into Indiana, one of the oldest players He's 25 going on 26. So, you know, I want Obi to go out there and just show that he's better than all those dudes and get his minutes, you know. Cam Reddish got another chance with Lakers, so Cam Reddish now with his home in Clutch Sports, LA Clutch. But yeah, I agree. Wish Obi all the best. But yeah, we got the Nova gang. We're moving forward with now. Up in here, some versatility, shot creation, ball movement. We can play faster off the bench as well. We wait to see. Look, Obi wasn't the best rebounder, so we're not really losing rebounding from the power forward kind of perspective, but we're going to lose obviously some bench production, some points, some floor spacing, and yeah, the ability to play above the rim. You know, some of those Obi finishes on the break were box office. I will never forget that one in the playoffs against Atlanta where he balled out. But yeah, look, Obi's time, he did us proud. He did his best. But yeah, it comes down to the organization now, thinking about fit, thinking about the fit and moving ahead in the direction that Tom Thibodeau and Leon Rose want to take this thing. But the moves ain't done yet. You know, we continue to see how we're going to spend the rest of this money. You guys let me know who would you like to see picked up now out of, let's say Bamba, Christian Woods there. I think Eric Gordon is there, Malik Beasley, Kelly Oubre, Lonnie Walker. I know if we didn't pick up DiVincenzo, Lonnie Walker could be a dude worth trying, but it's redundant now. Yeah, we're about to run some small lineups, that's for sure. We have Joel Embiid tweet 15 minutes ago, the watcher. Joel Embiid's out there watching. But yeah, Dame. I tell you what, these Knicks Heat rivals, if Dame ends up in Miami, we've got the Pacers that are better. It's going to be stacked this season, right? I'm still salty against the Heat, right? We've got to beat the Heat. Pat the Rat, say whatever you want about Pat Riley. He always finds a way, right? Just when you think they've got no assets, they're, backed against the corner, backed into a wall. He does something, does Pat the Rat. But I think Jimmy Butler is sort of coming towards the end of his prime now. He's going to start to get banged up a bit more, like we saw in the playoffs. So he knows, their clock's ticking, and I would even think they'll trade Bam to try to get a third star. You know how Pat Riley works. He likes to just go all in. Yet Roby should take IQ's minutes, some of them. CC says Oubre and Jalen McDaniels. Yep. I think Oubre is still available, but I think Jalen McDaniels is just signed, I think. But Malik Beasley is bit of a double up, so I don't see how he can fit in. But Oubre definitely 6'8", versatile, can defend and can score. Westbrook's back with the Clips, 100%. Jalen McDaniels looks like he's going to go somewhere for cheap, too. But the Knicks still have their $4 million annual exception as well. So could it be a Mo Bamba, a stretch 5? Could it be a backup power forward? Let's not forget Grant Williams. I think Grant Williams is still out there somewhere, waiting to see. But yeah, Tyrese with Toppin is going to be box office. That's going to be crazy. So the latest on OG is OG's searching for a bigger role on offense. and wants to handle the ball more. He told reps during meetings with prospective agents, according to people familiar with the team, that he was searching for greater ball handling and playmaking duties in advance. So that's interesting. I'm not saying he's not capable of that, but OG's certainly a good wing, lockdown defender, and catch and shoot. But I've yet to see that shot creation, ball handling duties as well. How much are you going to have to pay to pry him out of Toronto as well? I think they're going to come into the season with most likely with RJ, and RJ with a big summer ahead. Team Canada for FIBA ball. But certainly the big losers, let's go through it. Philadelphia so far have been a loser. Portland, 100%. Outside of that, I think, the Pelicans so far, but nothing's changed. I had the Rockets yesterday, but I think the Rockets have salvaged something, getting Patty Mills, Dylan Brooks, Fred VanVleet, Landale. I think they're doing okay. The Knicks are the losers in the Obi Toppin trade, but we did what was expected, getting Donte, which adds some versatility. That's going to help us in big games, big playoff moments also. But yeah, the offseason ain't done yet. Westbrook back with the Clips on a 2-year deal. So yeah, we didn't really need any more guard help. I think we're stacked at the guard help with Quickly, big year for Brunson, RJ. But what this means is we can play a lot of dudes with the bench and with the starting unit. Like we can swap Hart with Barrett. Donte DiVincenzo can also play alongside Brunson. Well, as long as we've got a solid defender playing alongside Brunson, that's going to be huge. I think we definitely need 2 to 3 solid wing defenders on the team at the same time, because you've got Grimes still, but you've got Randall, who's a liability defensively as well. Of course, Obi's gone, so I think Tom Thibodeau really is the happiest guy. It sucks, it's bittersweet, but Tom Thibodeau is the happiest guy, I think. And maybe even Randall, not having to deal with the Obi Toppin discussion no more. Leon Rose, probably the saddest guy, to say farewell to his first draft pick and our godson, I think. Or is that Brunson? I think Brunson's his godson. But yeah, as the night gets on, end of day 2, very eventful. But finally, the Knicks have got their guy, Donte. And we wait to see what else they do. And we get ready to relax, chill. And we'll be back on live again, same time tomorrow for day 3. See what shakes out with the Dame Lillard trade saga. James Harden, all of those things, right? The streets are buzzing all day, every day. And it's madness. This is what we live for. But the New York Knicks made moves, improved their team, I still feel overall, but got some moves to come. And EJ came in, gave us his thoughts with this. I think Dame's headed to the Heat. I think Harden finds his way to the Clippers. And let's see if the Knicks can get involved in the 3-way. Or it might be Brooklyn. Joel Embiid is closely watching that situation out in Philly too, because he doesn't really want the Heat to get a whole lot better. Let's not forget, if the Heat get Dame and the Sixers lose Harden, then what's going to happen? He's not going to be happy at all. The process is no longer the process, right? It's a de-stress situation. But I thank you to the whole chat. The streets are buzzing, smashing that like button. Appreciate everyone for the super chats as we go through them all. Buzzer beater salute. Best wishes to Obi. Another first gone. Della Music. Hope Obi balls out. Not a good day for us diehards. With no PG yet, no Harden. Bring Zion to make it right. Lewis Luck, no stars are available. Lot of overpays to meh players. And Parish Duggar, Knicks chose Randall and Tibbs, who you got to pay after next year, 180 mil. And Tibbs, who is 2 years and out of here, possibly, over Obi. So yeah, it's been a crazy emotional day. But you know what? The New York Knicks are still the New York Knicks. I ride and we ride or die with this situation. Let's rock out tomorrow night and see what happens. What has Leon Rose got? Right, more moves are coming. I feel definitely. Is Donovan Mitchell in our long-term plans with Joel Embiid? Possibly. I don't know if RJ Barrett's a part of the long-term plan yet, but we wait to find out on another episode, right? And we see what happens. Yeah, great night chatting it up with everyone, and we see what happens with the backup power forward spot. What happens with Emmanuel Quickley's extension? Does that possibly come in sooner with the October 23 deadline? But as you see on the screen, yeah, the Knicks have a little bit of cap space left as well. Obi got traded for 2 second-round picks from the Indiana Pacers. We wait to see which picks they are and which teams they're coming from as well. They're probably most likely Indiana's picks too, but they don't really need to make too many picks now. They're stacked with their rotation as well. With Uncle Jeff gone, Grant Williams, possibly Oubre, Mo Bamba, possibly Malik Beasley. We do have a little bit of money to spend, and we're all in on veterans right now. I don't think we're bringing in any young guys to develop at this point. But salute, salute, salute. Be well. Let's get it on the next one. Peace.